There was a, and you guys can look it up. There's a situation in Minnesota. I mean, two U.S. citizens were shot and killed by ICE. Schools in Minnesota shut down, decided to go completely online. I think that was the right response. I mean, who wants to go to school when this happened? We're afraid. As immigrant, I'm an immigrant. I'm French Tunisian. We're afraid to go because of ICE. But I will say, in California, so I'm from the state of California. I'm Bay Area, very liberal state for the most part, except maybe SoCal. Um, and I will remember when I was just looking at my Instagram one day, and I saw a response from the Fresno School District, and they said that so there are students who want to protest against ICE, and their response was, if you can protest, but if essentially, well, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but the response was, if you go out and protest, we're gonna mark your absence as unexcused, and we might expel you. And I will say I am very disappointed. Me personally, and again, it's just my own opinion, I'm very disappointed by that response because I think the more appropriate way to respond would be, you know what? Let's talk about this. Let's have a debate about this. Let's have a conversation. Let's do a workshop about this. Talk to the kids, talk to the families, talk to the parents. Let's do like a little, little town hall meeting, like after school. That's the kind of response I was kind of hoping to see. So to answer your question, it's kind of I understand why schools want to stay neutral. At the same time, it's hard because we're human beings. What are we supposed to do? Just keep our mouth shut because we're scared that we're going to stir the pot or we're going to anger somebody so bad that to the point we're going to lose our jobs? I don't think silence is the right answer here.
Yeah, I think all three of you touched on something important that really starts to answer the question is schools may remain neutral, but the people inside it should not be stifled to remain neutral. And so a conversation can be started with that. Lisa, Tom?
Yeah, John, I like to kind of respond to that by, well, before I say anything, I have to just offer a brief disclaimer. Everything I say today these are my views and not the views of the office that I work for. So with that out of the way, I think this question maybe is best framed by asking the question, really, what is education? And I think that's something that people have touched on in previous sessions. We've heard people talk about test scores and job skills, but really, what is education? What are we trying to accomplish? I don't think we're trying to teach people how to pass tests. And I don't think even we're trying to teach people how to get a job. I don't think that's the goal of education. Think about what is it? Well, what we're trying to do, what schools, in my opinion, should be trying to do is to produce young men and women who are capable, cultured, articulate, well-read, responsible, and able to be stewards of democracy that they graduate into. This is what schools should be trying to do. It's not a profitable venture. It's not an easy one-size-fits-all venture, but that should be the goal. So this idea of neutrality in the ways that have been defined here, I don't think serve that purpose, because the world that students are going to graduate into is not going to accommodate them when conflict arises. There is conflict in the world, and schools should be preparing students to learn how to address those conflicts and live successfully and maintain some level of civilized conduct despite the conflicts around them. That's really what a graduate should be capable of doing. Not a specific job, not achieving a test score or getting a piece of paper. All of those things represent something larger, and that should be young men and women who are able to answer these many questions and conflicts that will always exist in the world. So to answer your question, I don't think neutrality is the right answer. I think the question then becomes, how do schools achieve this goal when these conflicts do arise in the educational environment?
Yeah, that excellent point. There is a great program out there called Civil Conversations. If you haven't heard it, you want to write something down, that is great. It's not debate. Debate has winners and losers. Schools have civil conversations. They teach children how to think. So it's well worth your time to investigate. I'm not a spokesman for civil conversations, but it is something we use with our 3rd through 8th graders at my school. Lisa.
Well, I just want to add in a little bit onto what everyone else has said, and just the fact that when we don't know what to do with something or we don't understand something, we take it away or we remove it. And so sometimes that's what neutrality does. It takes it away or removes it.
Right.
Definitely
Well,
deculturized. That's what it does. And I wanted to, well, go ahead, because
Well, I was going to jump to the next question, but if you have a finalizing point.
Well, I was just going to say the schools are really a reflection of the community. You know, the community, the schools aren't the dictators. The schools are the receivers. We receive the community, and we just try to organize and lead students in whatever direction they choose to go, to prepare them, as you said, right? So we have to just do that. We're a facilitation organization, not one that a dictator type of place. So school's going to reflect the communities, and that's what I meant by you got to read the room. They're going to reflect the communities, the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions are coming into the classroom every single day. So you can't dictate that. You just have to kind of facilitate it and organize it, and
That's a good word, facilitate.
Well, let me jump to the next question, which will be directed towards Tom. From a practical perspective, what can teachers and administrators do to avoid the types of divisive problems in classrooms caused by the culture wars?
Oh, well, okay, thanks, John. And I think that really dovetails well on what we've been talking about, the fact that, okay, so now we've acknowledged that the schools are sort of a microcosm of the world outside, so conflict is part of that, fine. But how do we address these problems when they come up without resorting to some type of oppressive neutrality? I want to try to explain how I think that can be accomplished by using a specific example. And I'll kind of tell you right up front, I think the way that we can do that is by directing these types of discussions about conflict into a more productive framework. So for example, when I was editor-in-chief of the Law Review, one of my chief responsibilities is to ensure that articles that are published reflect well on the school and don't create a sort of ongoing reputational or problem with subject matter, what have you. So one of the articles that I had to review had to do with an individual who was in a detention center, was an immigrant who was in a detention center, and was also a member of a minority demographic. And this individual was not treated well in detention and ultimately died there. And following this death, there was a wrongful death lawsuit. And the agencies, the government agencies involved, were not very cooperative, either prior to the individual's death or during the investigation. So one of the writers wrote, so obviously this sets up a potential conflict. There's an issue about discrimination. There's an issue about government acting irresponsibly. There's a lot there that can raise a lot of, for issues that can lead to conflict and dispute. So one of the writers wanted to write about this, and she did, and it was a decision, and she was writing about the decision that the court had made. And she sent me her original draft, and I said that I couldn't publish it as it was. Not that I wouldn't publish it, but I said that this may cause some issues reputationally, and if we're going to publish this, we have to think about how we express these ideas. Because her focus was exclusively on her decision that this was an example of discrimination. Probably she may have been right. But what I asked her to do was think about really the framework of how to discuss that topic. Instead of focusing on the acts that were perpetrated on this an individual, how can we frame this discussion in terms of which laws should have been governing this situation? How did the government, how did the people involved fail to adhere to those standards? How can we frame this discussion as one where the rule of law should not support discriminatory behavior? And how did it fail here? If we frame this discussion as one about the rule of law and not one about this one individual person and this one story and this one instance of bad behavior, I think we have a more productive discussion that's more inclusive without necessarily delving into the details and the ugly details of this one story, which tends to become a more divisive discussion. So using that as an example, when we have problems and conflicts and the school and the students get involved, how can we take those conflicts as a learning opportunity in a civics class, for example, and say, okay, we understand you're upset about this and it's causing a lot of concern. How can you have your students go out and do some research and do a project and maybe write to your legislators? This is a golden opportunity to bring students into what it means to be a citizen of a democracy and how to resolve those conflicts civilly, responsibly, through research. And that really involves a lot of instructional techniques too, in terms of writing and speaking and research. So rather than looking at conflicts as a barrier to education, I think quite often they are the actual substance of education and should be treated as opportunities to really educate and elevate students, their mindsets and their ability to engage in civil discourse.
I really like what you said, John, because so when I have a student, I mean, I'm just a substitute teacher, of course, but when I have a student who comes up to me and says, "Hey, Sarah, how do you feel about this?" I say, what I do is I say, "Well, I want to ask you, how do you feel about this?" And then what I do is I say, "Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna write a research paper about it. You know why? Because my job isn't to teach you what to think. It's to teach you how to think. That's my job. My job isn't to tell you what my personal opinion is. I can say, hey, that's just my personal opinion. But I feel like if I just tell you that's my personal opinion about this, then it's kind of counterproductive to your learning about how to think about situations happening in the world. So I always try to encourage kids to do a paper. I would say last year, one of our upper school Spanish teachers in high school, he had a lot of students asking him, "Hey, how do you feel about the war happening in Gaza?" So what he did, instead of ignoring it, he decided to do a whole class about it. Just a whole class, no hesitation, talking to students about how do you feel about this situation happening? What do you think the solutions are? I think those are really awesome ways to, teach students about situations. I also think that maybe we can also benefit from having, say, professional development days or teacher trainings about how to talk to students about these situations, like getting training on like how to you navigate talking to students about these situations without putting in your political bias or your political opinion into it.
Does anyone on the panel have a practical event that happened at their school that you've thought the school either did well in addressing it or did not do so well? And while you're thinking about that, I'll give you a situation we had. If you remember earlier this year, Charlie Kirk was murdered. And the governor of Pennsylvania decided that the school would fly their flags half staff. And I knew, being a private school, I didn't have to adhere to that. But if I did do it, I was sending a message. If I didn't do it, I was sending a message. And so I really had to think long and hard because I knew it was coming the next day, and it gave me the evening to think about it. And what I finally decided is, okay, let's fly the flag at half staff, but I'm going to send a message out to the community to say, this represents the death of Charlie Kirk. It represents those lives lost on 9/11. And if you remember, about that time, there was a school shooting in Minnesota, and so those lives lost. Right or wrong, sometimes there is no easy answer in these debates because non-action means an answer and action means an answer. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. Do you have any examples like that?
I just wanted to share that is, I like how you said that. And just from an organizational standpoint, we're caught between of what to do. But then this may sound a little controversial, but in my early childhood world, we have the same issues, just on a different level. And so it takes people standing up for what is neutral, but what is best for the students and having those conversations. So creating that environment that allows for people to disagree, and it's okay. Talk about the books that want to be removed. Involve everyone. And when Sarah talked about professional development, you can say PD all day long, and we know that. There's a difference. You have to be able to take what you're given and put that into practice, but you have to have a leadership that supports you and walks that same walk with you, because the school is the reflection. The school staffing, they're the reflection of their leadership. And so from an organizational standpoint, there has to be someone at that top that is supporting everyone else. And then you can do all these wonderful things, and it'll be beautiful. And the children will have critical thinking skills, and they'll have all these great activities like Sarah, but there has to be someone to lead them.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of a story. I can't come up with, but it's, how can you just remain completely new? I think it's impossible because, and I don't think it's realistic or even I don't even think it serves any just cause. I mean, you're just neutral. You're just indecisive. What do you want to eat tonight? And I'm just indifferent. We're not going to pick anything. So you have to make a decision. A decision has to be made, no matter what. But you just try to make your decisions based on the class, the demographic, where you're at. You have to take those things into account because, in certain areas, the majority, and I'm talking about a vast majority, will feel a certain way. And in different areas, they might feel. So being neutral, I don't even know if that's a realistic ideal.
I think what we have to remember is that as educators are human, and humans have biases.
Yes.
And how do you navigate those biases? And as educators, what do we have a responsibility to do? What are we accountable for? Are we accountable for staying neutral, which doesn't mean staying silent? It just means attempting not to take a side. What do we have a responsibility to do as educators? Teach children how to respond to conflict. Why? Because conflict are opportunities for children to learn how to respond. And as an educator, that's my perspective. Not what I think, not what you think, but let's come together and let me help you navigate how to respond, particularly when there's a disagreement, particularly when there's conflict.
I recall that I was, just to follow up on that point, I was teaching a language class of international students in San Francisco, and this was around in probably about 2014 or so, just before the civil war in Syria broke out. And some of the students were from that region and some were from Europe. And it was a language classroom, and we were talking about grammar points and how to speak English and all that. But of course, tensions were tough over there and they were in America. And so that came up. And my way of kind of diffusing that situation was to allow that as a topic of discussion, just the general concerns that people had who were from different countries and whether they felt better where they were now. And I allowed that conversation to continue. And all I did as a teacher at that point was not to say, we can't talk about that. I acted as a moderator and allowed them to have a discussion without myself saying, well, this country is right and that country is wrong, but by allowing everyone to express their concerns about what was going on in their home countries and then moving on to the next topic. I think it really made the class a more comfortable place for all the students.
Right.
And one last thing too,
Sure.
navigating away from politics. I have another story. So at one point in my career, I was the librarian, and I had Harry Potter books in the library. Well, a group of parents got together and wanted to burn me at the stake practically because I had Harry Potter books in the library. So they protested and they wanted the collection of Harry Potter books removed from the library. So at that point, my option was I have 1,200 students that use this library, and I have maybe 25 students whose parents don't want Harry Potter books in the library. So what do I do? I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah.
What would
Berna,
you do?
you asked or you answered the question, my last question, which was what do you do when parents try to impose their will on the institution itself, but they only represent a certain
Small
yeah,
percentage.
small percentage of people. It's a interesting conversation because we constantly have to navigate that. Something that we have at our school, which is when this conversation came up about neutrality, I said, well, I try to remain neutral as a school representing the school itself.
Leadership.
So because I'm responsible for the entity of the school. However, the core values that we hold dear are non-negotiable. So wisdom development, wellness, both physical and mental, integrity, community, these elements are core to who we are. So even if there's something in society that falls outside of the bounds of what we're trying to achieve through our value sets, we address that. We don't allow that. We call out where that is just not meshing with who we are as a school. So just a little food for thought. I did want to leave some time. And the panel can certainly chime back in as part of this. Is there anybody who would like to ask the panel a question about culture wars or make a statement that's relevant? And I don't know if we have a mic ready to go. We have approximately 6 minutes.
Health, wellness, science, biology, and we cannot, as educators, presume that the parent is not teaching what needs to be taught. And so that's the reason that neutrality is so essential. Whether you let them talk about it or not depends on the curriculum, but the point is we're not there to teach them the core values. Those are the parents'
Well, given that I evoke the core values, I would disagree strongly. Um, Parents come in many shapes and sizes and belief systems, and the core values help us hold the school together. So we will agree to disagree on this one. I don't know if anyone on the panel wants to.
I just don't think you can assume anything about anybody's household or anything. So you're right, I think, about core values, because I can't assume that you're coming from a house in which you're receiving that type of support or that type of background. You might be coming from a broken home, especially in certain schools, just in general. You just don't know. It might be a homeless kid in your classroom. It could be, any type of thing going on. So, I just can't assume that a kid knows or anything or has that type of background to hold them up in a certain type of way so they can hold up certain ethics or so we have to push those things because I got to create a classroom climate and I have 20 kids or however many kids in my classroom every single year and rules, regulations. We're not going to do this. We can't do this. You have to set those boundaries and those parameters within your room. And I, you never know, man. Kids, you can't assume a kid knows anything.
I want to say this. As educators, is it an indicator of what's being taught in homes when we observe student behavior? And then, do we have a responsibility to teach what we think is not being taught at home due to student behavior? Are the behaviors that we see in the classroom indicators of what we need to teach? Just a question.
3 minutes. Any other? Please.
Thank you. I don't know that I'm going to answer that question specifically, but I did have just a question and maybe a comment too.
Thank you, Sarah. You brought up earlier just a situation that occurred and the opportunity for there to be discourse and dialogue about the situation versus the school to send out a message specifically saying, about the unexcused absences. And I thought it was a great idea too, because I think it allows people to have dialogue and discourse and really, town hall forums. And, I think when we think about just even the current state of our environment today, I think a lot of that is missing. And so there does seem to be an opportunity for schools to really build those types of communities that have dialogue. So what I want to ask this group is, just as educators, do you see that in your schools today? And is that an opportunity maybe for the future for kind of what we see in town halls when there's political situations, but maybe to start bringing some of that in at a community school level? Thank you.
So I don't know about the other schools from my experience because right now I am at a private international school, and at least at my private international school, they tell us as teachers, you guys have the right to your own opinion about certain situations. Now, again, I don't know all the going ons behind my administration, but I am pretty sure it goes something like, well, if you want to talk about this certain situation, come to us first so that we can make sure that you're like doing it properly and you're navigating it properly. What I hope happens in the future, though, moving forward, is I do want to see more schools showing some more empathy and more compassion about how to navigate situations because I think it's crazy how we talk about how in education we're trying to build leaders for students. We're trying to build the future. And yet we go and say, well, we're not going to talk about that. That's why I said we need to start talking about because if in education we're going to start inspiring and motivating students to be future leaders, who knows? Maybe the students in your class, that's going to be a future legislator. That's going to be a future congressman. He could even probably be a U.S. president for all I know. And so it's important to talk about these things. So I don't know about now, but moving forward in the future, I do hope to see schools being able to talk more openly about certain topics that are happening in the world. And if schools sometimes say they get that parent who's coming to them, I want to tell those schools, stand firm. Do not say, oh, sorry, we talked about this. No, stand firm. Have a conversation with the
I
parents.
think that's a good place for us to end. We've run out of time, but please find us if there's anything we've said that interests you, and we'll continue the conversation off the stage here. Thanks again to this wonderful panel for answering the questions.
I'm leaving the Harry Potter books. I'm leaving the Harry Potter books in my library.
Excellent. Thank you for that All right, next up, we turn to a keynote that will take us from analysis to action. The power of unconditional mindset, healing, service, and reimagining education for every child. This session will explore how adopting a mindset rooted in empathy, service, and resilience can transform learning environments. Leading this inspiring session is our speaker and bronze sponsor. We have Dr. Dimple Patel, the founder and executive director of KGS Foundation Service for All, whose experience, vision, and real world stories provide a powerful lens on reimagining education for every learner. She develops practical solutions that help schools implement high quality STEM experiences, especially for learners often excluded by financial or systemic barriers. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome to the stage. Please welcome.
Are these water bottles for me? Thank you so much. I'm just going to clear out some space here. Okay. Hello? You can hear me on? So first of all, thank you so much to the organizers for inviting me. It's really an honor to be here in a room full of people who are building companies, launching ideas, and shaping the future. And also, I really want to thank everyone for being awake in Las Vegas. Because I'm going to be honest, Vegas is one of the few cities where most people go to bed around the time we start a keynote. So if you're here, alert, caffeinated, I really admire your discipline. Now I'm going to start with a question many of us ask. What am I actually supposed to do with my life? When people introduce me as Dr. Dimple Patel, entrepreneur, founder, educator, it sounds very polished. But I'm going to be honest. My journey, it didn't start with clarity. It actually started with a lot of confusion, like a lot of confusion and probably questionable amount of instant ramen noodles. In 2018, I I was a doctorate student at Washington State University, finishing up my doctorate in educational leadership with a concentration on STEM education. And if anyone here has done a doctorate, you know that it's not glamorous. It's mostly coffee, research papers, and staring at your computer, wondering if that paragraph you just wrote makes even any sense. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't. And at the same time, in 2019, I started a company called Little Genius. It was about teaching kids robotics, coding, STEM education summer camps. And I thought maybe only 5 kids would show up to Little Genius. If my relatives felt generous, maybe 10 would register. But instead, our classes filled up. It was house full. Kids loved robotics. Parents loved seeing their children excited about learning. And you know, Albert Einstein, he once said, education, it's not about learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. And I saw that firsthand. You don't have to convince children to explore, you just have to open the door. So sorry, I'm just wondering if I'm too close to the mic. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. But then when I started Little Genius, something else happened. Life had other plans, and in 2020, COVID hit, and school shut down, and just like that, Little Genius disappeared overnight. And at the same time, it felt like a failure. Looking back, I just think sometimes, life closes one chapter so another one can open. I just didn't know that the next chapter of my life would be merchandise. Now, around that time, I called one of my spiritual mentors and I said, I'm about to graduate in 2020 and I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life. I and I thought that maybe the advice that he'll give me was, apply for jobs, build your resumes, network. But instead, he said something that really surprised me. He said, you should start an NGO, start a foundation. And this was in 2020. And he said, you are meant to start this NGO, and through this NGO, you're going to provide food and education support to people who need it the most. And at that time, I was a doctorate student. I had very little money in my account. I was just trying to finish up. So I asked logically, how exactly is that supposed to happen? And he said, don't worry, the grace of God will achieve it all. Just have faith, believe that it will happen. And I thought that was inspiring, but also slightly unrealistic. But something interesting happened. Even though in 2020, KGS Foundation did not exist, I started preparing for it. I'm going to tell you the funny beginning of KGS Foundation Service for All. So in 2020, I created the KGS Foundation Service for All logo, and then I ordered a bunch of merchandise, like coffee cups, caps, keychains. I even created my own website, all with the KGS Foundation Service for All logo. Now remember, at that time in 2020, KGS Foundation, it did not exist. It wasn't registered. We didn't have any funding. There were no programs. So that basically meant that the only supporters of KGS Foundation at that moment was my closet. Boxes sat in that closet for years, waiting. But then fast forward to 2022 June, I moved to the beautiful state of Colorado, and I purchased a franchise. It was called Wise Computing Academy. And through that franchise, I started teaching robotics, coding, AI programs in school. Currently, I oversee close to 50 schools in the state of Colorado. And the first year, it went really well. Schools welcomed us, the students loved us, but there was something that was bothering me. Every time I walked into that classroom, I noticed two realities. Some children had opportunities, and some did not have any opportunities. And it wasn't because that they were less capable or less intelligent, but it was simply because their circumstances did not allow those kind of opportunities. And that question kept returning to me. What about those kids? What about those marginalized kids? And Nelson Mandela once said, I'm sure all of you have heard that quote, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Now, notice he didn't say wealth, influence, or power. He said education. Because when you put those tools into the hands of a child who never had access before, you're not just helping one student, you're changing a generation. So sorry, I actually need a quick sip of water. I always feel dehydrated, so. And I'm so glad this podium is much more stable. Last year it was pretty slanted, so I had my water sliding down. Um, Now in June 2023, I took a holiday to Kauai, Hawaii. I'm not sure if you guys have been there, but if not, you should consider it. It's one of my favorite places, beautiful island. And in Kauai, I rented a small Airbnb on Ocean Cliff. And if you've spent time near the ocean long enough, you start reflecting. You realize how small we are in this massive, infinite universe. So one morning, I woke up and I said to myself, I don't want to wait any longer. So sitting there in Kauai, I um, I was looking at the Pacific Ocean and I registered KGS Foundation Service for All in June 2023, which means, technically speaking, our nonprofit was registered when I was wearing my flip-flops. So Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. For years, I knew the first day, but in Kauai, watching the ocean, I started to understand the second. Why education matters, why service matters, and why the most important decisions often happen in quiet moments when no one else is watching. The early days at KGS Foundation, they were not easy. The first year was pretty slow. Starting a nonprofit isn't glamorous. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of paperwork, school meetings, navigating funding challenges. But much of that early funding came directly from my own pocket, and it still does. But slowly things grew. Schools began to trust us, and communities opened their doors. And today, through KGS Foundation Service for All, we serve 17 marginalized schools in the state of Colorado. And we've recently registered in Texas, where we're planning to expand, and our NGO is also registered in India. We just got our approval recently. And in India, we have actually tied up with a few schools where we're planning to serve 120 marginalized children's STEM education. So, yeah, really excited about that. But I believe education should not depend on where a child happens to be born. Opportunities should not depend on privilege, and curiosity should never be limited by circumstances. Now, before I go any further, I just want to acknowledge two very special people, actually, three very special people. First, I want to acknowledge my father. He's right here. Um, so, thank you so much. And I also want to acknowledge to all of my 2.0 friends. We've known each other for 3 years. So thank you so much. You guys are always here. And lastly, I want to acknowledge two very special people in this room. A while ago, I took a cruise, a family cruise from Long Beach to Mexico, and I met this 90-year-old couple who honestly felt like unexpected grandparents to me by the end of the trip. Rosa and Frank, they're right here, and they live in Las Vegas. So I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here. I know you have your own health challenges and all, but still you navigated this crazy Bellagio room. So with Rosa and Frank, we talked a lot about life, family, money. And one thing they said that really stuck to me, don't perform wealth. They said build it. They told me you don't need business class, you don't need designer bags. The right people won't measure your worth by those things. So our conversations, that is the meaning I took out of all the conversations I had with Rosa and Frank. And honestly, that changed how I think about running a nonprofit. I don't want to perform success. I don't want to beg for donations and look impressive. I want to build something self-reliant, something slow, steady, something very real. So, to the wonderful couple sitting here, Rosa and Frank, thank you so much. You have no idea how much those conversations meant to me, and I'm really grateful that you're here with us. Thank you. And since we're talking about unexpected wisdom, I want to share something people often ask me. A lot of people, they look at me and they say, Dimple, how do you manage so many things at once? I mean, a foundation, a book, an app, schools, and you have kids? And my honest answer is always the same. It's not me, it's the grace of God. There's a spiritual figure from India. His name is Sai Baba. He lived in the 1900s, over 100 years ago, and he had no money, no home, no position, and yet he became one of the most beloved figures in Indian history. Not because he performed miracles, but because he taught three very simple things: patience, faith, and selfless service. And he welcomed everyone, regardless of their religion or background. He never asked anyone to convert. And he simply said, let your own faith take you higher and help others along the way. So that teaching is what I really try to integrate into my every single day life. And when people ask how I balance everything, the stress, the long hours, the uncertainty, I don't have a clever answer. I just know that I'm not doing it alone. There is something much bigger that holds things together when I cannot. So I'm just sharing this not to convince anyone of anything. Your faith, your beliefs, your path, those are yours, my friends. I'm only sharing it because people ask me and because humility is important. I did not build any of this on my own strength alone. So if you feel inclined to support my ventures, the book, the app, the foundation, know that your support will be received with deep gratitude, not arrogance, just a sincere thank you from someone who's really trying their best to lean on grace and show up every single day. So sorry, I need another sip of water. I hope you're not in a rush. Actually, I try to keep my conversation speeches up to 10 to 15 minutes. Just looking at my own classrooms, I know that even as an adult, our attention span is so low. But today, I feel like it's going on a little longer. So, really, thank you so much. And I know time is a precious commodity, so I'm grateful that you're giving your time to me. Um, so when people hear the word nonprofit, they often assume that the next sentence is donation request. And you know what? Donations are wonderful. They help, and I never turn down donations because it always helps our work. But that is not my primary goal. My goal, as I said earlier, is to make KGS Foundation Service for All completely self-reliant. So whether I'm there or not, someone else, the next in line, can just continue the mission, the work. So I also don't want to wake up every morning wondering where the next grant will come from. I don't want to beg for money. I don't want to depend on the mood of our economy. And I don't want to build something, I want to build something that stands on its own feet. And that's why every venture that I start, there are quite a few, I make sure that certain percentage of that goes directly to supporting underprivileged communities. It's not an afterthought, it's simply the core design of everything I do. And one way is through my book, The Power of Unconditional Mindset, which will be published by Penguin in the next 3 to 6 months. I just signed a book deal with them. So The Power of Unconditional Mindset explores a simple but radical idea. What if we lived without constantly expecting something in return? What if success wasn't just about achievement, but also contribution? 51% of the profits from this book are going to go directly to KGS Foundation to support the work of our marginalized children. Not sure if you guys have heard of Mahatma Gandhi. Actually, maybe everybody has. But there are quite a few famous quotes by Mahatma Gandhi. He said that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Many believe that, success is about accumulation, titles, money, recognition. But in my own experience, the deepest success comes from knowing something you created helped another human being move forward. I want to tell you something else too. There's another cool project that I'm working on. and I'm incredibly excited about it. It's called Astro Soul Path. I grew up in a Hindu family where astrology has been a big part of my culture. We believe that the stars carry pattern inside stories, not rigid destiny, but tendencies, whether forecast for the soul, if you will. And some people believe in astrology, some don't, and that's perfectly okay. But here's what I know: people are curious. People want to know their past, make sense of their present, and feel a little more confident about their decisions. And that is why we built Astro Soul Path. I'm going to break down Astro Soul Path simply for you. What exactly is this platform? So first, we combine artificial intelligence with human wisdom, not just robots giving you generic answers. We have real human counselors like astrologers, numerologists, tarot readers, psychics, psychologists, wellness advisors, life advisors. And you feel like, you want to talk to someone about your birth chart, it's there. You want a numerologist to analyze your life path number, we've got that. Tarot reading, everything is right there at the tip of your fingers. So that is one of the features that's part of the Astro Soul Path. You can even call an advisor at midnight. I call it, actually, a couple of my friends call it. Crystal right here, she gave me a nice word. She said it's the Uber of counseling, but it integrates spirituality, general counseling into it. Another feature that is part of the Astro Soul Path is customized horoscopes. Now, I know that many of the horoscopes that we see online, it's very generic. Today, a Scorpio might find the love. That's fine, but it's not personal. So in Astro Soul Path app, if you input your date of birth, time of birth, place of birth, your chart is going to be automatically created. And it's really cool. You'll just have a personalized reading, which will tell you your lucky colors, things to watch out for, opportunities, patterns in your past that might be repeating. And the best part is this model is only $1 per month, which is like $12 a year, less than a cup of coffee, and less than a cheap Vegas buffet. And for $1 a month, you get a customized horoscope delivered daily every morning, plus an access to our community and basic guidance. And obviously, if you need deeper work, one-on-one sessions with astrologers, general counselors, life coaches, tarot readers, those are also affordable. And we've kept the prices like super affordable, like 20 cents per minute or something, which is really affordable because this whole platform was just created to support people and our nonprofit. But the core subscription is just $1. Now, I'm going to tell you why that $1 matters, my friends. If one person subscribes for $1 a month, that doesn't change anyone's life. But if 1 million subscribers download that app, that changes everything. Imagine 100,000 people downloading Astro Soul Path. That's 100,000 a month going towards education for underprivileged children. Imagine 1 million people. That's 12 million people a year. Not from donations, not from grants, from people simply choosing to explore their own spiritual curiosity while unknowingly funding a child's robotics kits on the other side of the world. But here's the promise I want to make to you. A good amount of the profits from Astro Soul Path will go directly to KGS Foundation Service for All. Every dollar you spend on your own curiosity becomes a dollar that helps a child who never had access to STEM education. Every horoscope you read builds a classroom. Every tarot card you pull helps buy a laptop. And my friends, that is what self-reliance looks like. You don't have to blindly donate your money. You just have to use a product that serves and let the ripple effect serve others. Astro Soul Path is actually launching in 2026, and we're building it, the app, the counselors, the AI engines. And when it launches, I would be honored if you would download it, not as a charity, but because you're curious, because you want to understand a little better, a little more about yourself, because you want to wake up every morning and read something just for you. And of course, I'd love it if you consider the subscription model, $12 a year. It's nothing. And I just want to quickly show you guys the video of Astro Soul Path. I feel super proud of this. So, my friend Maria, could you go ahead and play the video of our project?
Namaste, I'm Crystal. I'm a Reiki healer with Astro Soul Path. And my work is rooted in a very simple idea. When your energy settles, your life gets clearer. Sometimes what we call stress is actually energetic overload. And sometimes what we call being stuck is just your system asking for release.
Namaste, I'm John, and welcome to Astro Soul Path. Astro Soul Path is a hybrid guidance platform that blends the best of AI and real human advisors to help you feel clear, grounded, and supported without the fluff. Inside the app, you can ask real-life questions about your career, relationships, timing, mindset, and next steps. Our AI advisors help you get quick clarity.
And our live advisors add deeper insight when you want a more personal human touch.
This isn't about blind beliefs. It's about patterns, self-awareness, and making better decisions with confidence. We're launching in May 26, and we're building it with one standard app: clarity you can trust. If you're ready to understand yourself better and move forward with more peace and direction, you're in the right place.
Namaste, welcome to Astro Soul Path. Astro Soul Path is a guidance platform that blends AI support with real human advisors in embedded life to help you feel clear, grounded, and supported in real life. Inside the platform, you can explore tools like astrology, numerology, tarot, and intuitive guidance. Vastu and energy alignment for your Pomo Reiki style energy healing, palm and face reading, and practical coaching around mindset, confidence, relationships, career decisions, and life timing. So you don't just get insight height, you get direction.
You can ask questions like, what's the best timing for this decision? Why do I keep repeating this pattern?
What's blocking me right now? What should I focus on next? This isn't about fear or superstition. It's about self-awareness, patterns, and choose your next step with more peace and confidence. Astro Soul Path launches in May 2026, and we're building it with one goal: clarity you can trust. Today, I'm Claire, and I want to introduce you to something we've been building with a lot of intention: Astro Soul Path. Let me start with the real reason this exists. Most of us are trying to make important decisions while we're exhausted. It's time to find clarity. We're leading teams, raising kids, building careers, managing relationships, and trying to keep our nervous system from melting down. So people look for guidance, but what they usually find is one of two extremes. Either it feels too random and unrealistic, or too clinical and disconnected. And a lot of people don't know who to trust. Astro Soul Path is a clarity platform built to change that. It's a place you come when you're stuck, overwhelmed, or at a turning point. You want support that feels grounded, respectful, and actually useful.
Trusted advisors across different guidance styles, numerology, and coaching style sessions.
So you can choose what resonates with you. We're building it to be simple and structured. You won't just get a reading, you'll leave with clarity. Why do I keep repeating the same pattern in relationships? Is this the right time to change jobs or start a business? Why do I feel blocked even though I'm doing everything right? What do I need to focus on this month so I don't burn out? Instead of walking away confused, you walk away with a clear theme, a next step, and language for what you're experiencing. Another thing that matters to me is integrity and safety. Astro Soul Path is not a medical platform. It's not therapy, and it's not about fear-based predictions. We're building responsible guidance, support that helps you feel stronger, not dependent. It's designed for real people,
Whatever season you're in,
even if you're just trying to feel like yourself again. Because clarity isn't a luxury, it's a tool. So if you've ever wished there was a place you could go where guidance feels modern, ungrounded, and trustworthy, this is for you. Astro Soul Path is coming May 2026, and we can't wait to bring it to you.
Namaste. Welcome to Astro Soul Path Day for anyone who believes in living with purpose, protecting your peace, and making decisions with integrity. This platform is for people who want guidance that feels grounded and respectful of their values. Whether you're navigating family responsibilities, personal growth,
We have so many ads that we've created, and I would actually love to show you all of them. I feel super proud of our advisors and our entire team behind Astro Soul Path, but it's a long video, and I think I might be running out of time soon. So um, in this video, you're also seeing a QR code. So this is the QR code to my LinkedIn. But if you do want to support Astro Soul Path or just have any questions about the book, how I survived my doctorate or anything, just go ahead and send me a LinkedIn invite. But when you do send me an invite, just send a note that you heard me in Las Vegas. And let me know if you guys are interested in Astro Soul Path or the book. And once it's ready, we'll go ahead and send you a reminder for the launch. And I know that I'm almost out of time, so I just want to take a moment to say something personal. This is my third year at Education 2 Point Conference, and the first year I was just attending, sitting in the audience like many of you, taking notes, wondering if I belonged in a room like this. The second year I came back as a keynote, and that was terrifying and wonderful. And this year, this is my third year, and KGS Foundation Service for All is a sponsor. So this journey from being an attendee to a keynote to a sponsor, it means more to me than I can easily explain. It says that slow, steady, ridiculous persistence actually works. It says that if you keep showing up, the room gets bigger. It says that people who believe in you along the way deserves more than a polite thank you. So I do want to thank my really good friend Jatin. He's one of the organizers at the conference. Jatin, could you please stand up? And you know, I want to thank you, Jatin, because I know that it's not easy to work with me. I have ideas at 2 a.m. I change my mind and I send long voice notes to Jatin. And I have passionate opinions too. But Jatin somehow keeps up with all my tantrums. So thank you so much, Jatin. You're a really good friend of mine and a good person. And I'm so grateful that KGS is part of 2.0, and we hope to continue this collaboration long term. So again, I've taken up a lot of time, and I keep getting all these signals, but I don't think we have time for questions, but feel free to send me a note on LinkedIn if you do want to learn more about Astro Soul Path or have any questions. So thank you so much, my friends, for being here. Thank you so much, Rosa, Frank, all my 2.0 friends, my father, and I'm going to go ahead and vacate this stage. Sorry, this is for someone else, actually. I'll take this.
That was excellent. Yes, give her a big round of applause for that. And a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Dimple Patel for that inspiring keynote. We can all agree that stepping beyond the classroom can open the door to powerful learning experiences for students. When young learners engage with the real world, they can gain confidence, develop practical skills, and discover new perspectives that shape their future paths. Our next session, internships, apprenticeships, and experiential learning in high schools, will explore how schools create meaningful opportunities that connect education with real-world experiences. To shed more light on this topic, let's give a warm welcome to our moderator. We have Dr. Satya Anarana Dev, the Associate Professor and Chair at Florida A&M University, and our panelists. We have Lisa Canning, the CEO of Working Musicians Academy, Janae Ewing Wilson, the coordinator at C2 Pipeline, Sidhara Kupa, the co-founder of Huntward Advisors, Beth Goltzler, the head community organizer at United Congregations of Metro West, and Raylyn Ferguson Hagen, the president and founder of RACEP Educational Consulting. Their insights and experiences are sure to spark new ideas and inspire us all. Welcome them to the stage.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are starting 6 minutes into our session already. So, well, we will try to keep it short, but at the same time as informative as possible. So as I was introduced, I'm Satya. I'm the session moderator here. I'll start with Lisa first, right next to me here. So Lisa, the music industry is one of the earliest examples of apprenticeship style learning. So mentorship, performance, and real audience is all part of it all the time. So how was the Working Musicians Academy formalized that tradition into a model that high schools could actually learn from?
The beautiful thing about that question is that it has dual purpose. One is that high school students need to feel empowered through experiential learning to feel like they can earn and they can learn at the same time. And by putting a digital program together that allows people to learn real world skills that they can immediately get feedback on and get early customers, early adoption, but also develop a useful skill, you can develop the apprenticeship model in a way that doesn't take away from the diminishing number of people in the community that presently do that at a professional level because they don't have the time to offer the apprenticeship to the students. But instead, you can empower those people to help them because now they have enough skill to want to be able to participate and help them. And so it's a beautiful way to bring vocational training into a community and to revitalize an industry, to give kids the opportunity to earn, as well as to get apprentices back involved with that learning process.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. So next is Janae, sitting next to Lisa here. Janae, the pipeline program exists precisely because the path from school to career isn't automatic. So someone has to build the on-ramp. So can you walk us through what the C2 pipeline does and what gap it is filling in schools that schools alone cannot do?
Absolutely. So the C2 pipeline program, first I should start with what C2 stands for. C2 stands for College and Career Readiness, which means that we are the pipeline to help students get ready for college and also get ready for career. We work in the Metro Detroit area with economically disadvantaged students. So the majority of our students come from situations that make reaching college or reaching a specific career more challenging for them. We operate 2.5 hours a day for 4 days a week. And our project model is to teach them STEM activities, also college and career planning, leadership, and teamwork. And during the summer, we do something called IPE Camp. IPE Camp is an opportunity for our students to come to Wayne State University's campus, and they get to live like college students for almost 2 weeks. They come in the morning time, we provide them breakfast. We take the students to do real college classes within various career fields from dentistry to nursing to social work and a few other ones. In the afternoons, they get in their groups and they work on a project. Every single year, it is based on the same thing, same topic. So it will be like cancer or diabetes. They have to work together as a team to come up with an idea to counter some of the difficulties that come with cancer or diabetes. And at the end of the IPE camp, they are rewarded if they become winners. I actually had a team my first year at the current school that I was at to actually win a scholarship for that. At C2 at MC, which is just a piece of the pie of the Wayne State C2 Pipeline Program, one of our 14 schools, I teach college and career prep. Like I said, we want to make our stuff engaging, relevant to the real world. So what I do is I do resume building. I teach them how to fill out college applications. We do actual interviews within my program so they can see what that is like. We do trades. I was the first person within my building to bring in trades. I heard my students say, you know, we really want to learn about trade opportunities. All we talk about is colleges and careers. We're not often told about trades. So I had students watch videos. I brought in professionals from the career fairs, like my husband. He came in and spoke about one of the trades that we offered. And then I also I also have them do hands-on projects so they can kind of get an idea what the different trades are. So we've done everything from welding to electrician to construction to even fun trades like cosmetology. My girls really enjoy
learning about makeup, skin, hair, things of that nature. We bring in social emotional learning and soft skills because I need my students to understand the importance of teamwork and communication as well as other soft skills. And then I am very, very big proponent of student voice and choice. What I mean by that is I believe that my students should have a voice in my program. Since we run after school for 2.5 hours, 4 days a week, it is extremely important that they have a say in what is happening with their education. So they vote for their youth council members, who are the 5 individuals who work directly with me to make the program everything that we need it to be. They also vote on field trips, enrichments that I teach, and more. If you would like to see what we do at C2 at MC, like to see what we do at C2 at MC, you can look at that on our Instagram page. It's C, the number 2, AT, MC, and it will show everything that I've been doing for the past year. I'm going to end on this last note before I turn it over to the next person. My philosophy at C2 at MC is active listening, not passive listening. My students know day one when they step into my program, the expectation is active listening, not passive listening. If they're active listening, I know that they're hearing what I'm saying, they're taking it to heart, they're doing what needs to be done. If they're doing passive listening, then I know they heard what I said, but they didn't really hear what I said. We know what passive listening looks like because we know that students sometimes do that to their parents. I am the same way with active learning and passive learning. I want them to really be engaged and take away those lessons that I've taught them. So I have a high expectation of active learning. On top of that, we do college field trips. I have professionals to visit. We have military, like I said, youth council comes. My last 2 things that I have for my philosophy is that we are each other's support system. I let it be known that even though I am the one that runs the program, just like everybody else in my room, I need support too. And my students support me full time, and I support them full time. An example of that is I just got a text message today from one of my students. She said, I'm applying for a job. I put you down as one of my reference. I said, excellent, I got you, because I want them to know that I am there. I am their support system. And lastly, my last philosophy is that by the time they reach 12th grade, that they know what they're going to do. I promote 4 avenues for our students. Either you're going to college, you're going into the workforce to get a job, you're starting a business, or you're going into the military service. I don't want any student to step out of my program without knowing what the game plan is. Like I said, I work with students that are African American and economically disadvantaged. So I am one of their primary support systems. So it's very, very important to me that they get everything that they need.
Thank you, Janae. So next we have Sridhar here. So Sridhar. It's a bad idea to use the phone for this. People call you. So, Sridhar, as an advisor working with students on career and college decisions, you're often the person who sees where preparation breaks down, right? So, what's the most common thing you wish high schools have done before a student lands in your office?
Thank you, Satya. Good morning, everyone. And my name is Sridhar, and I'm co-founder of Huntford Advisors. As a parent of 2 teenage boys who are entering high school in the next 3 years, I think, a couple of things that really I wish the schools would do a lot more is, um, you know, in the schools, usually we focus on um, education, syllabus, and whatnot, right? I think one of the things that I would wish the schools would do is teaching professional agency also to students. What I mean by that is being able to manage ambiguity as they enter into college, right? Because there are a lot of decisions that they're going through right around 11th and 12th grade, and what they want to do, where they want to work, and what their future is, right? So I think there are 3 core pillars that I wish schools would focus on. One is financial literacy as a strategy. Uh, you know, every student should understand the ROI of what they're getting into, right? They should not be doing a program that costs $100,000 and then at the end of the day they are getting $40,000 as a salary, right? So financial strategy, or financial literacy as a strategy should be a core pillar that should be taught in schools, in my opinion. The second one is the feedback loop, right? In corporate, at least in our company, we focus on constant feedback loop, right? In schools, if you look, students are graded at periodic intervals. And in my opinion, having a constant feedback loop where, you're giving feedback to the students as the year progresses, um, you know, helps them understand how they are performing. And then lastly, problem solver identity is what I would think is a core pillar that a school should have, where, a student is not just being a student, but they're also acting like a consultant, where they are trying to identify problems and trying to solve them. And then, so if a student comes to my office and they know how to speak a little bit of professional language and they know how to calculate certain aspects of ROI and so forth, I think that'll be a really big contribution that they are doing from day one onwards.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sridhar. So just to piggyback on that in the same line, I'm moving on to Joy, who's the Chief Admissions Officer. It kind of connects to what Sridhar was talking about. So Joy, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing the university name correctly.
Let's see how you do.
Tricoci?
Tricoci University.
Tricoci, okay. Tricoci sits at the intersection of vocational training and higher education. So your students graduate ready to work, often well before their peers come out of the four-year traditional education. So from the admissions lens, what signals tell you that a high school student has genuinely had the formative experiential learning?
So in admissions, and I'm over admissions and marketing for Tricoci University, it's a group of beauty schools in the Midwest. And it is true, we have students come in straight from high school and they graduate usually by the time they're 18, 19 years old from the university, and they go out to the workforce early. And that can be tricky because they haven't had the opportunity to be at a four-year university. But we find that doing an admissions interview with every student that comes in, so they get to meet with somebody in admissions, and we walk them through the entire process. We show them the curriculum, we cover outcomes, just like you were referencing with ROI. They don't know that term, but that's essentially what we're trying to cover with them, just to make sure that they are ready for this. On top of that, we have articulation agreements with high schools. What that means, a lot of students can come in and take classes at Tricoci University while they're doing a dual track in the high school as well, or they can have that program at their high school, which it sounds like maybe you have in the Detroit area. And then we'll take those hours, because it's a clock hour program, and that way they really get to try the education before they commit to it at the university level. So we have a couple different ways to really make sure that they're ready to go into this industry. And I think we've had huge success with it. A lot of students right now, I call them the tool belt generation. They're very eager to go out and pursue their passion immediately. And they are very cost sensitive. They're not that interested in going into a high debt program. And so this is a great solution for that group of students.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Yeah.
Joy. Next, we have Beth. So Beth, faith-based and community organizations have long served the informal apprenticeship environments. Service, leadership, and organizing are all part of it. So how does United Congregations think about the intentional role that the house schools could play in how communities have always trained young people?
Yeah, thank you so much. So yes, I've been focusing when I've been with UCM and other nonprofits in the St. Louis, Missouri area on those high school seniors, those first year students in the four-year degree program, and providing what my practicum students call the field instructor role, right? So nonprofits in our local communities can play that field instructor role for these individuals who need to connect some high level concepts to like real things going on in their community. And so for a best example with our environmental justice work, when you're learning about what you can do to save the planet, you want to get your hands dirty and go do something. So it allows us to provide an opportunity to organize a cleanup or speak to people who are actually suffering from impacted water issues that they won't receive when they're just learning about it in the classroom.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ben. So let's move on to Raylene. As a consultant working across educational systems, you have a bird's eye view of what's actually being implemented versus what's being talked about. So, what's one experiential learning model you have seen work exceptionally well and one that looks good on paper but consistently does not deliver?
Thank you. Um, Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and I love talking about experiential learning. I'm very passionate about it. My name is Dr. Aileen Haugen with Raise Up Educational Consulting, like you said. I have about 30 years experience teaching from all the way from kindergarten through doctorate level classes. And early on in my teaching career, I realized that I was just bored teaching out of textbooks, teaching off of worksheets. And I wanted something more exciting for my students. And I knew if I couldn't get excited about it, my students couldn't get excited about it. And so I started developing a model for myself that later on I called experiential learning. And it took a while to understand all that went into it. And I think to answer your question, well, let me backtrack a little bit. I've had an opportunity to talk to provosts of universities who have STEM training programs for teachers. Teachers love going to these programs. They get excited when they go and they get the training, but when they go back into the classroom, they're not actually doing what has been taught to them. And the reason why, from what I've observed and what I've talked with these people that have these programs, is that it's not, they're not supported in the way that they need to be to really make this successful. So experiential learning, a bad model of it would be that you go into a classroom and maybe students are doing a science experiment. They're doing hands-on learning with a science experiment, or maybe they're doing a play for social studies, or maybe they're integrating technology into a subject. But that's it. That's where it stops, because teachers don't have the time to really make it at the level that it needs to be. They need support from the school district, from their schools, to change the time structure that they are implementing experiential learning. They need the resources. They need support in planning. So to me, a successful model of experiential learning, which is something that I believe that I've done, you integrate subjects together because that models the real world. So you're going to have science, social studies, language arts, math, technology in there. It's all going to be integrated, because if you go into the real world, that's what it's going to be really like. And if we're trying to train our students to become citizens for the future that are innovators and creators that can keep up with technology, that's the way they need to learn. It can't be linear. It has to be all integrated together, and it has to be very meaningful, and it has to be impactful. So we need to change the way our day looks in the educational system so that we have blocks of time that we can integrate all these subjects together. We can make sure it's aligning with our grade standards. We have the resources that we need. And that would be an example of what a model would be. And so if I were to give a real world example that I've done before, let's say that they're going to learn California history, and we take them out into, some Native American area, and we have someone come in who is actually an indigenous person who tells stories, and they try on the different things that the Native Americans wore, and they try the food, and they learn the science behind oceanography and why these animals work for them and why they didn't, and they do art that's incorporated into it. That all is an experience that they'll never forget, and it's so impactful, and that's what real life is about.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ray. Well, I would like to add probably 2 cents worth in this whole thing. Well, from a university perspective, like when the students come prepared from high school with experiential learning, they stand out, at least in all the classes, because I'm a boy with the toys who builds the toys he plays with. So I'm all into experiential learning. As an engineer, finding solutions and building equipment to solve the problems is what I focus on mostly, and I involve students in doing that. And when the students come in with that experiential learning, that real world experience, They are at a much higher level in understanding the perspective and implementing it rather than someone who has no clue, who's just been schooled all this while. So that's it's really wonderful to have that experiential learning. And some things that I have done are building virtual reality models, like kind of gamified as well, that they can actually, for example, to prepare them for potential careers in Forest Service. So wildfires, how to prevent wildfires, one of the ways is to do prescribed burns, right? So how would you do prescribed burn without burning yourself? So that requires probably burning yourself virtually a few times. So so that's exactly what they do. So you're allowed to do mistakes and learn in a virtual environment, and you kind of have the leaderboard. So, yes, if you die 3 times, that's it. The game's over. So, but technically that kind of gives them a peer pressure that, I need to do better than him. It gets competitive, and they learn, at least in a virtual environment, that I could provide them, because in a real environment, I cannot afford to lose them. So, so, so it really helps in that perspective. So having said that, I would like to ask a few questions that anyone from the panel could just answer. Well, I'm cutting short on things because we started late. So please raise your hand if the students you serve have equal access to quality internship, regardless of family income or the zip code where they come from. So that gap, who wants to close it? It's the responsibility of the schools, employers, the government, or us in this room. Anyone? Yeah, Beth, please.
I do think, especially for universities, for those freshmen who are just starting, that is probably someone who could fill the gap in my mind. I think back to the story of one of my first interns from a low-income community, and she needed a car to get to some of our events that she was going to represent and be independent and confident without me, right? She was going to build that skill. She needed housing that summer to work with us full time rather than being virtual. And so the university that she worked with filled that gap. They had a fund for that, and it was really great for her.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Lisa, go ahead.
The arts are in great decline, and the only way that we can improve people to have vision for the future and to connect their emotions to the work they do is through building empathy and to develop skills that are related to the arts. And if you are not artistic or you're not musical, it doesn't matter, because we need to put those things into society. There's a model of thinking that's Herman's whole brain thinking, 2 R's, 2 N's. Recommend you look it up, because it's very validated science that basically supports that 95% of the population recognize patterns and recognize facts. And only 5% of the population have vision and have the emotional connection. And those things come from the art. So from STEM to STEAM is everyone's responsibility. Everyone has to bridge that gap in order to make our future be brighter.
Thank you, Lisa. Janae, you had something to say?
So, as I've already explained, I come from the after-school sector of education with college and career readiness. We know that there is unequal opportunities for students. I do believe that it is the responsibility of those working in the after school to do as much as they possibly can to even the playing field for our students, especially those in minority communities, Black students, brown students, ELL students. Because it's just so much unequal things happening, especially with funding. We look at federal funding, we all understand that the bigger the school, the more funding. But then if you look at a local funding, we know that more highfalutin schools are afforded more opportunities for success for their students compared to those schools that are struggling and underprivileged.
Thank you, Janae. So any other comments? Anybody wants to chime in? Anybody from the audience wants to chime in on that?
I'll chime in.
Yeah.
So I work for a university. It's a clock hour program. It's really designed to get people ready for the beauty industry. I would say we feel it's our responsibility at the university, regardless of their zip code or what their parents do. We offer 2 career fairs a year. They're required to attend. So we try to prevent I'll say, create a level playing field for any person who's in our building. We feel accountable for that. We feel like that's what we should be providing. And our goal is for them to graduate and then successfully pass their licensing exam and go be a successful career person in that industry. So we feel the role is ours in the university, and we try to eliminate any of those barriers wherever they're from. It doesn't even matter. Every person in the building has the same access to that opportunity.
Wonderful.
I'd like to just add one thought. You know, everybody is responsible. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a kid, right? So everybody is responsible, and we need to have redundancies established at each place so that if one thing falls behind, the other one is able to pick up. So I think it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that we close the gap, and it's a community responsibility.
Thanks, Sridhar. So, well, then the next question may be appropriate to you and Lisa here, but feel free to chime in if anyone has answers. So getting employers to take high school interns is a real pain. The main reason being, they're worried about liability concerns, their bandwidth, skepticism about their readiness, and all these issues. So what's the most effective pitch you've seen to bring a reluctant employer to the table?
Well, see, it's not more like a liability that employers look at it. They are just risk averse, right? To bring in a high schooler for an internship compared to a college student to an internship there's a little bit of maturity that's there in a college student. They're able to navigate that ambiguity, like I said before, right? So I think the best way to look at this is don't look at it as an internship, but look at it as an R&D on your future employees, right? It's 10 times cheaper to bring in a high schooler and who can then understand your culture rather than spending a lot of money on a headhunter who goes and brings a total stranger who may or may not work out for you, right? That's one point. The second thing is, I don't know which generation they are, Z or Alpha, but they come with a new perspective, right, that we probably lack, especially leveraging technology and digital assets that are out there. And then, what I like to call is a vetted guarantee, which I think she mentioned earlier, where the students are vetted by the school to have gone through a minimum understanding of what it is to work in a corporate environment. Basic communication skills, how do you uphold NDAs, right? One of the key things that corporate worries is how is confidential information treated, right? So if high schoolers are taught saying, hey, there are NDAs that you have to uphold, you cannot discuss things on, publicly or with your friends as you wish, I think that kind of helps you reduce the friction and increase your ROI.
Wonderful, thank you.
In my opinion, as someone who started at the age of 17 to have to work with adults and sell to people who are twice my age often and above, the fastest way is through being able to demonstrate a pattern of success. And if you adopt early customers and you develop skills early, even if you are less than the mature person of a college student, but you can demonstrate that people trust you and will do business with you and will work with you, you are a safe bet. And when you look through resumes, when you look at college resumes, you often see patterns of just familiarity. Well, I did this in my school district. I did this with people I know. In our program, we work very hard to get them to step outside and develop relationships in their community so that it looks much broader and they have a much deeper perspective. If that isn't compelling to an employer, I don't know what would be.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lisa. So another very quick question. So the graduation rates and test scores are easy to measure. Then that's what we go about all the time. Career preparedness is not. So what metrics the school should include in order to make sure they are bringing out kids who are career prepared?
Well, first, using standardized testings, that's based in eugenics. It's biased to various racial groups and stuff like that. So I wouldn't argue that that is the best way to say that a student is prepared for a career. In regards to career preparedness, I strongly believe in advising bringing in professionals that are top level within their career field. I bring in experts to my after school program all the time. The last one we brought in, she was, I guess, top of her game for finance literacy. And we brought her in and she talked to our students from everything from stocks to managing money to trades, just a whole bunch of different topics that were really beneficial to our students. Schools have to do more to bring in college and career readiness preparedness. We cannot simply just talk to our students about colleges. We do need to bring in more careers with our academics, find ways to make the connection. I understand that as teachers, we have to focus on our core curriculums during the school day, but it needs to be more of a connection and not just a connection that is happening in an after school setting.
Wonderful. Well, from a university perspective, I often use this analogy that us as university professors, we are catching the bull by the tail and get kicked on our face. Okay, so you want to catch a bull, you better catch it by the horn, right? And it has to happen at the high school level. So if you're trying to, you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So that's what happens when the students come to the university level and they haven't learned the necessary skill set that they need to learn that higher level of classes. So we often face that problem. So we end up starting at a much lower level than we had to, so we can only go so far. So we kind of end up leading the students lower than where they are supposed to go to. So it kind of piggybacks all the way through the elementary school, but high school is kind of critical. Honestly, personally, I haven't learned a single thing from the breadth of knowledge after my high school. The depth of knowledge has increased in several fields after that, but the entire breadth of knowledge that I have today is only from my high school. So that's something that we need to focus on, giving that breadth of knowledge to students. So, yes.
Yeah, I would just like to add on to what you and Janaea said. I do think that it's so important to gauge their preparedness for the real world by bringing in, professionals from all industries. I also think that we need to take it a step further and we actually need to get them into those industries, into the workplace of those companies and let them just like get the osmosis going, like really feel it, like understand this is what the environment is like. This is what goes on in these industries. And I think that is another level above having them come in and talk to the students. It's far more effective. And the thing about the standardized testing, I do understand how there is some bias and all that. I don't think we should throw it out. I think we can use it as one measure, as a tool. With experiential learning, I did it in the elementary level for probably over 10 years. And once I started doing it, my standardized test scores, my students' standardized test scores went skyrocketing. With experiential learning where it's non-traditional, we're not doing everything out of textbooks, that was just a tool. So their scores were going up like 2 grade levels a year across the classes, so as an average. So I think that there's a lot to be said for that. And going into the communities and having leaders in these fields give us the standard. Like, how do we know? Like, let them tell us that this is the standards that we need to be meeting with our students. So
wonderful. Yes, Beth.
Quick closing thought. Just like in standardized testing, it teaches the student what they don't want to do next when they don't do well. In experimental learning, it has taught many people that I've been with what they don't want to do next.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, well, we are pretty much at the last 6 minutes. So before we continue any further discussion, I want to give an opportunity to the audience to address a question here. So we have heard from practitioners building this work from studios, clinics, congregations, pipelines, consulting rooms, universities. So now I want to hear from you, educators, administrators, employers, or someone who has been through one of these programs. What question in this conversation is raising for you? Yes.
Oh, there's a mic.
I work with organizations who have Gen Z professionals on navigating their organizational environments. I've had an opportunity to work with high school as well as college level students. We're talking mentors, sponsors, networking, how you're evaluated, all of those things that make you successful in organizations. I help organizations get productive Gen Z employees quickly. My question is, what type of preparation um, are you able to have with the students you work with, Gen Z being anywhere from ninth graders up to age 30, behind them, Generation Alpha. Gen Z is our future leadership. What type of preparation within your programs do you have to navigate organizational dynamics beyond their technical expertise in their particular workforce?
Thank you.
Wonderful question.
Do you
Yes,
want me to
yes,
go?
Beth, go ahead.
So the two main things that the people I work with, they come in, these students really crave the opportunity to be creative and the permission to make something, and I think we talked about it in some panels last time, to make something and to do something all their own. And then the other one is where my background with social and emotional and restorative practices, that in the sort of conversations that they need to have, that was brought up in these as well. Like, they need opportunities to practice that day in and day out with people that are their different ages. So the opportunities that we've created for them is to get those two particular skills in the field to add to everything else that they're bringing.
Great, thank you. So, and anyone else wants to add to that?
I'll add to it. So we really focus on real world experience. So experiential learning is all about what we do. In fact, once you pass through the first half of your program, you're really learning by doing. You're on a clinic floor, you're doing guest services, you're learning how to use the guest booking system, you're really putting together a business model to understand how many clients would I need to see in order to be profitable when I graduate here. So experiential learning is really all part of it. But I think that just depends on where this person is going to school. I really focus on Gen Z. That is my primary focus. And I agree with you. I think they're marvelous and they are the future, and we really need to take good care of them. And they do have different perspectives, and they're really preparing for jobs that probably don't even exist yet. If I know there was an influencer in here that was in the talk earlier today. They want to be an influencer. They really are passionate about marketing, things that you wouldn't necessarily learn behind a chair doing hair, but we want to make sure that that's woven into the program as well, because they need to understand that side of it. But experiential learning is the main key factor, and I think that is one thing that sets trade schools apart from traditional universities. You're learning by doing, and that's really the best way to prepare you to fully, eyes wide open, understand what you're going to go out and do once you graduate and leave the university.
I'd like to add to that. Just to piggyback off of that, I have one small thing to add. Everything in life is about sales, whether it's finding a spouse, getting a job, working with a customer. It's always about marketing and sales, right? And so in our program, by getting early customers and having to satisfy them and work through difficult things if they weren't able to be successful, they adopt that skill and understand exactly how sales works and to truly create deep satisfaction. So that's an incredibly important skill that transcends anything that you do.
Thank you. Ray?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that too. When we talk about high school students doing internships, I think one of the biggest mistakes that these companies make when they have high schoolers come in to do an internship is putting them in entry-level positions and thinking of it sort of as like free labor, or like this is where they will be when they graduate. But we have to change that mindset, because if we want them to be prepared for the real world, they need to be able to go in and observe the different elements that make this company what it is. They need to be in the think tank room. They need to be next to the innovators and watch how they do what they do. That's part of what my message is to the companies that have the high school students come in. And one of the first questions was about how do we make this accessible to all people? If we collaborate with the community, a lot of times businesses are willing to provide funding for some of the experiential programs that are going on within schools. So that is one way to make it accessible to all people.
Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. So, yes. So some researchers argue that this is a general question for everybody, like pushing career readiness too early, that is at the high school level, kind of makes a 16-year-old, for example, shadowing that Ray just mentioned. If they shadow an accountant, they might think that they want to be one, but that doesn't mean that that's who they really want to be. And then, it kind of puts them in a roller coaster for their career later on. So does experiential learning at the high school level is locking students into a certain track prematurely? What do you think of it? Anyone from the audience? Exactly. But my take on that, just to add to that, is making that clear to them. This is just an exposure. This is not what we say that your future career is going to be. And also giving them an opportunity to shadow more than one in an organization. If they get to be in one, they should be able to see all different career paths that are within that organization so that they're not mentally getting locked into one. So that's just my take on it. Yes.
Quick, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was from my first exposure with Generation Alpha, we won't have this problem. They have a different personality. They do not want to follow along with things. We will not have this problem.
So be ready.
Yeah, it's like, like one of those old Charlie Chaplin movies, and the car engine has a problem, so he stops the car, takes the engine out, and drives away. So, yes.
So in my opinion, it's two things, right? It's a stress test for the student, and the cost of failure, like you said, is very low, actually zero, right? You said they can shadow an accountant and they can say, I absolutely hate it. And they save 3 years of college, and they can move on to something else. But I also think the key thing that we want to imbibe in every student is not prepare them for a career, but rather think of how they want to contribute to the society in terms of problem solving and what makes them passionate.
Wonderful. Yes.
I just wanted to make a brief, very quick comment. I completely agree with that, which is why within my after-school program, we talk about starting businesses. I introduce things like how to market your idea, how to finance your idea. We're talking about the different costs, manufacturing costs versus sale costs. Because at the end of the day, I want them to find the path that is right for them. And a lot of them are not going to choose college. They're not going to choose to go into a workforce. Like they said on this panel, this is a different generation of students. So they're coming with new ideas, and a lot of their ideas come with technology. They want to be on the internet. They want to be able to utilize their social media networks to relate and connect to people. So we have to move along with how they're moving, and that's why I've always thought it was a good idea to bring business into my after-school program, and I've been doing that for the last couple of years.
Wonderful. One last final word. Anyone would like to have a final comment on this, something that you really wanted to say, a burning comment, burning suggestion, because we are out of time. Yes.
Also helping them find grants and being able to write a request for a grant.
Yes, absolutely, in my case. I hosted a session within my classroom where with my 9th through 12th grade students, I understand that at the time, my 9th and 10th graders are not looking for scholarships. However, my 11th and 12th graders are. So we had a workshop in which I had my seniors pair up with my freshmen and sophomores, explaining to them the type of things they're interested in. And then that group went on a search and found scholarships for them to apply for. So it became a very collaborative activity that was for the benefit of my juniors and seniors so they would have the scholarships needed to be able to succeed.
Just one quick and final addition. Sorry, go ahead, Beth.
Oh,
Yeah.
you said final words.
Yeah, okay.
In all, like corporate and in nonprofit, I always hear, oh, we just don't have a strong team, or how do I make a team stronger? And in our training, there's one element that's all in community organizing, it's always train and develop new leaders. So no matter what the situation is, if you're not involving the youth, you're gonna struggle with your team.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful final note.
Thank you, experts, for that insightful session. Our upcoming session, Act Locally, Share Ethically, Think Globally, Empowering Learning Communities with AI, will highlight how intelligent technologies can strengthen collaboration, encourage responsible information sharing, and expand opportunities for students and educators everywhere. Let's give a warm welcome to our speaker and bronze sponsor, Dr. Johan Sievering, for board member of the Swiss Informatics Society, SI, to guide us through this thought-provoking session. His workplace's learners and users at the center with a strong focus on the social, ethical, governance, and environmental impacts of AI. The stage is all yours. Welcome.
Organizer and especially to Ariel. Thank you to all my colleagues and thank to all the learners. Special thanks to my school heads who enabled me to initiate and develop my project from the very beginning. Mr. Frederick Ottoson. I take this one. Okay. Is better? Okay. So, a special thanks to my school heads who enabled me to initiate and develop my projects from very beginning, Mr. Frederick Ottoson at the CFP Art and Mrs. Corinne Gusman-Bonvin at the Collège Voltaire in Geneva, Switzerland. And thanks to the Swiss Informatics Society, within which I set up the specialist group AI for Ed, which launched the Athena AI Hub, the central theme of my keynote. And a big thanks to my wife, Sylviane, just over here. Today, I would like to share with you a simple idea. Act locally, share ethically, think globally, and always with the learner at the center. Let me start with a story. A conversation with my colleague, Jérôme, in the Voltaire College cafeteria in Geneva, Switzerland. Not in a laboratory, not in a meeting room, just a coffee break. That moment changed everything, and that simple discussion became the foundation of today's presentation. Jérôme teaches chemistry. He shared one of his concerns with me. His learners can write chemistry formula, but they struggle to understand what is actually happening in the test tube. He told me that using simulator helps them bridge that gap. But today's simulators present real challenges. They are often not adapted to the teacher's specific lessons or pedagogical approach. Some are expensive, and building one from scratch is possible, but it takes too much time. So, in most cases, even the need is clear, the tool remains unused. So we tried something different. We used Cloud AI to build a simulator tiled to his lesson. We provide the AI with his courses materials, his exercise, his pedagogical approach, and his lesson objectives. Then we craft prompts, and within 30 minutes, we had a working solution. After 15 more minutes of fine-tuning, we had a ready tool that matches this teaching perfectly. And today, Jérôme uses it. one of his learners told him. For the first time, I could see the molecule move and understood why it reacts that way. But more importantly, Jérôme no longer depends on tools. He can create them. We can now observe an important feature. This result did not come from a central system. It came from a local need. And very quickly, we started to see the same pattern emerging in physics, in languages, in science. This is not a matter of chance. This is a recurrent process. That's the system behind the Athena AI Hub initiative, a structure that supports amplifies what naturally happens when educational stakeholders collaborate. So we start to understand something. We often assume innovation in education is about better tools, smarter software, and more advanced technology. But that's not where real innovation lives. The real innovation is in the organizational model, how we collaborate, how we share, how we experiment together, and how we scale with that works. Tools are the consequence, connections is the cause. We realize something. What Jérôme did with his simulators was happening everywhere, in many different contexts and disciplines, but isolated. And this leads to a shift. The future of AI in education is not only built on tools, but above all, on connected learning community capable of transforming local initiatives into shared, evolving collective intelligence. When we presented the way we designed the simulator, all our colleagues asked us to organize training sessions on this topic. We have already organized several courses. That is exactly the philosophy behind the Athena AI Hub. To build on this experience, we created the AI Lunch Cafe concept. Informal meeting where people come together to talk about AI in education. Teachers, trainers, researchers, administrative staff, and sometimes even school nurses or social workers. People from very different backgrounds, but facing similar questions. The format is simple. 1 hour, one topic, one coffee. You bring two questions you doubt, even you fear. There is no judgment. It's a place where you feel safe. One day, at the teacher's room, we meet a lecture teacher. She said, I don't want to use AI. I will destroy my learners' ability to think. For her, the Socratic method is essential, questioning, reasoning, struggling with ideas. Instead of arguing, we sat together during a lunch cafe, not to convince, but to explore. Together, we designed a prompt that explicitly refused to give direct answers to the learners, but instead guided learners through questions. The tool did not solve the problem, the dialogue did. And something important happened. People realized that we are not alone. Isolated project or problem became shared challenges and shared solutions. This is where the first level of collective intelligence becomes visible. You can start with this yourself next week. Our colleagues were struggling to write effective prompts when they try to create simulators. For non-specialists, creating prompts from scratch to build a complex simulator remains in fact difficult. And the same applies for other projects. For example, aligning courses with regulations, generating assessment grid, and so on. So we decided to co-create a web application called Prompt Studio. That's not only to help people prompt, but also to learn how to prompt. This application allows to share prompts so we can now improve them collectively via Prompt Studio. But the most important part is sharing. Instead of sharing ready-made solution, we can now share the prompts that generate tailored solution. A teacher can make a prompt, adapt it his own course, his own learners, his own context without starting from zero. A prompt is like a recipe. It allows the next teacher to change the ingredients for his own style of cooking. This is where circulation begins, not with tools, but with the method that generates them. Share how you managed to achieve solutions, not the ready-made solution. The simulator techniques and prompt studio were so successful that with a group of teachers, we organized a conference to introduce them to colleagues from other institutions. For this, we built a small web application allowing participants to ask questions during the presentation. It was such success that we extended into an event companion for the 2026 International Symposium on Artificial Intelligence and Societal Challenge in Geneva, where participants found information, asked questions, interact with organizers, and above all, shared their thoughts and feelings. At one moment, an anonymous question appeared. Are we losing control over what we are creating? And something interesting happened. The community responded in real time, with nuance, with care, with responsibility. The tool reveals the tension, but the community absorbs it. The most important part is what it reveals, and not the application itself. If we take a step back, we can see something even interesting. First, we were only users. Then, we became creators. And step by step, we became autonomous. This changed everything. Because now, innovation comes from the classroom, from the field, from the real constraints. A teacher told me, I've been teaching for many years, and this is the first time I feel I can really shape the tools I use. Let me show you what this autonomy looks like in practice. Marjorie teaches philosophy in Geneva. She comes to one of a lunch cafe, and what she built from there is remarkable.
Hello, my name is Marjorie. I'm a philosophy teacher in Geneva, Switzerland. With the arrival of AI in my classes, I noticed something. Students, they can give perfect answers without really thinking. So I had to change my approach. And instead of asking them to use AI to answer, I asked them to challenge the answer. For example, I give them an AI response to an ethical dilemma. Lying is wrong. And I ask, is that always true, or is it necessary, or just possible? In what situations could it be different? Or I give them an AI explanation of a text, which is quite interesting. And they have to find what assumptions are hidden behind it. And sometimes the AI says something that sounds convincing, but is actually debatable. And that's where the thinking starts live in the class. So AI becomes a trigger for reasoning and not a shortcut like a little Socrates. And what's powerful is that these activities are easy to share and adapt with other teachers. That's why it fits perfectly with the Athena AI Hub. We experiment, we share, we improve together. And in the end, it's not just about using AI, it's about teaching students how to think with AI.
Now imagine you share your last simulator prompts worldwide, Geneva to Barcelona to Las Vegas. A teacher in Barcelona uses it and it works. But it doesn't work for the teacher in Las Vegas. Why? Many possibilities. Wrong vocabulary, wrong assumptions, references that do not exist in the local curriculum, materials that are not available in that classroom. And this is the turning point. It's not a failure of system. It is a success of the method. Because a teacher in Las Vegas did adapt it to her context, to her learners, to her constraint. And in doing so, she created a new version. Friction is not a problem. This is the engine of collective intelligence. One great idea is one classroom does not automatically reach another. For example, you hear about a brilliant new simulator from your colleague that solves your problem, and you try it out straight away. But somewhere else, another teacher is facing the same problem and never hear about it. This is a challenge. Local innovation is powerful, but it doesn't scale by itself. Circulation is what transforms isolated creativity into collective intelligence. Webinars transform isolated exchanges into structured circulation. Conferences amplify what is already moving. They connect institutions, communities, countries. And this is exactly what is happening here in Education 2.0. With what started in Geneva cafeteria evolved through friction, adaptation, and exchange, and is now shared globally in Las Vegas. Let me show you what look like in practice.
Hi, I'm Smita Hamlol from the Swiss Informatics Society. I'm delighted to highlight the project on webinar series on AI and education led by Dr. Johan Sievering in Switzerland and supported by our organization. This initiative brings together experts and teachers who are already experimenting with AI in their schools or in their work, sharing what truly works in practice. For us at SI, supporting educators in navigating the digital transformation is essential. So these webinars create a space for honest exchange, for concrete examples, and for asking questions on how to achieve a responsible human-centered use of AI within schools and universities. We have a lot of participants, the interest is very high, and we are very glad to continue organizing these webinars. I warmly invite you to join this initiative. Thank you.
Now, if we take another step back, we start to see the complete picture. You, we create, others adapt, practices circulate, AI Launch Cafe create ideas and connections, webinars allow them to circulate, conferences amplify them, and progressively teachers become autonomous. They begin to imagine their own tool and method. What we are observing, it is a living ecosystem forming in real time. And one important point, innovation does not spread automatically. Innovation needs space, structure, and trust to move. And then something else happened. More and more people join. New projects, tools, and techniques emerge. Different institutions start to connect. If it grows without structure, it will become chaotic. This is where structure becomes necessary, not to control, not to gatekeep, but to guarantee that what are building operate with integrity, trust, and ethic. And this is where AI for Ed come in. When a system grows, connection is not enough anymore. It needs rule, it needs trust, it needs structure. A space where people facing this question can connect, exchange, share practices or tools, and build together. Because at this stage, what matters is a space where the ecosystem can organize itself. And for this ecosystem to work, the question about trust and ethics need answers. You share a tool. A few weeks later, you see it reused somewhere else. You can ask, is my work still respected and will it still belong to me? Trust means that what you create remains recognized and all creation remains the property of the author. Other situation, a prompt is shared, but it still contains learner personal data. This is what happens when people start sharing for real. Before sharing, the prompt must be transformed, anonymized, secured, cleaned. Privacy must be respected. And this is precisely why all of this is governed by the AI for Ed Charter. From the very beginning, we embedded this principle into our founding statute. Article 13 to 17 of the Charter specifically address data protection, confidentiality, copyright and licenses, rights and obligations linked to AI usage, and compliance in education and training. Ethics itself is invoked as the guideline principle in Article 8. There are formal commitments. When you share within this ecosystem, the rules are clear, written, and designed to protect you. Let me show you one team approach this question in the field where getting it wrong is not an option.
Hello, I am Patrick Forer, head of the medical library at the Lausanne University Hospital in Switzerland. In my team, we keep relying on collective peer reviewing to safeguard the integrity and reliability of the knowledge to contribute to evidence-based medicine. We use AI tools in discovery steps, and we don't rely on them to replace critical thinking. Would you ask a centrifuge to brew the morning coffee?
At this point, you might be thinking, can I start it alone? So yes, you can start alone, but it's important to remember that AI for Ed is where local initiatives connect to global movement. What we are building is not another platform or software. It is a structure similar to internet. On the internet, each computer is independent. Each system is managed locally. No central authority controls everything, and yet everything works together. How? There are shared rules, protocols that allow systems to connect, without imposing how they must operate internally, but it defines how they connect. No one owns the internet, and yet everyone built on it. Athena follows the same logic. You work in your classroom. You choose your tools. You define your method. You remain fully autonomous. But as everyone follows the guideline principle, all works can be connected by alignment at the level of exchange. What we built is a network of independent nodes, able to collaborate without losing their autonomy. You, Jérôme, and all ecosystem participants built Athena, node by node, community by community, connection by connection. Our architecture has 4 layers. It starts with teacher building a simulator for his or her class. Each initiative solves a real problem in a real context. This is a local layer. These initiatives are then shared. For example, you present your simulator, others share the method, practices circulate and are adapted. This is a catalyst layer. A technical layer enables this circulation. A prompt or a resource created in one school can be reused in another without central control. This is the gateway layer. And finally, the governance layer ensures trust. When teachers share resources, their data is protected, their work remains there, and shared principles are respected. When these 4 layers work together, isolated initiatives become an ecosystem. Now, a question that matters. If the ecosystem is free, how does it live? The answer is simple, and it is built into the charter from the beginning. Everything I have shown you today, the lunch cafe, the prompt studio, the share prompt, the webinars, the event companion, the hub, and so on, all of this is free. Free to access, free to use, free to adapt. You do not pay to participate, not to share, not to learn. But for ecosystem to grow and sustain itself, AI for Ed offers services. A service can be organized supporting to run conferences or webinars with our support, helping to set up an AI server in a school, designing customized training courses, or developing specific tools with our help. They are what allows the ecosystem to live, to maintain infrastructure, to develop new tools, and remain independent. But when you need a guide to help you building something specific, the guide has value. And that value is what sustains the entire ecosystem for everyone. The ecosystem is free. The services sustain the ecosystem without limiting access. This is formally defined in the Article 9 of our Charter of Finance, which states that groups' revenue come from events, services, sponsorships, donations, and other contributions. So, how do we start? You can start exactly. Okay.
Hello.
Okay. C'est fini? It's finished? Okay.
Hello, my name.
Alors, I will finish. The gateway is open. You can scan this QR code today or later whenever you need it. Up. Okay. Yeah. The next chapter doesn't start here in Las Vegas. It starts tomorrow in your classroom. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. A sincere thank you to Dr. Sievering for sharing those valuable insights. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take a moment to appreciate the people who have been standing strong behind us throughout this journey, our incredible sponsors. As a small token of our appreciation, we would like to now present certificates to acknowledge their contribution. I would like to call to the stage Dr. Siegfried Eisel, the Group President and CTO of Heltic Mines and Swiss Shore LLC, to help us present the certificates. Let's give him a big round of applause. And I would like to call our silver sponsor, FaceTech, to receive this award. Can we please have Faith Contrans, Director of Government Outreach at FaceTech, to the stage? Our heartfelt thanks to our sponsors for their continued support. Now let's celebrate leaders, innovators, and change makers whose work continues to shape the future of learning. Dr. Eisel, can you please do the honors for us? Our first award winner is Anthony Johnson for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence and Education Award. Anthony Johnson. Our next award is for Armand James. Armand James for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Armand James. Our next award winner is Barbara Garza for Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. Barbara A. Garza is the Executive Director and Head of School at AESA Prep Academy of Austin and Superintendent of AESA International School System. She is an award-winning leader in education and has spent over 40 years transforming how learning is approached. She is the recipient of the Governor of Texas Teaching Award and an award for Partners in PE Contributions for Special Needs.
switch. I'm honored to receive this award, and it's very exciting for our community back in Austin, Texas. I've been a long-time educator, very, very long-time educator, and back in 2009, after having a long career in public school and another private school, I started ASA Prep Academy, and it is our flagship campus, and now what has turned out to be our international ASA International School System. And our community believes us to be the future of education, and we are hoping that we can help other schools utilize our model. The best things about our school, besides our community members, and I'll talk about them in just a second, but is the fact that we truly, truly have an extremely positive, supportive environment every day at school. It takes a lot of work. You kind of have to know how to do that. And our students are extremely successful, and we truly focus on the critical and creative thinking skills and coping skills. And it is definitely a different animal, I would say, in terms of a lot of the schools. But anyways, I would like to thank, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for our fantastic community members, our admin team, our faculty, our students, our parents. They come to school every day with a great attitude, and they give it their all every single day. So I really, really want to thank them as well. And thank you so much.
The next award is for Beth Gutzler for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Beth Gutzler is the lead community organizer for United Congregations of Metro East. As a faith-based community organizer with UCM in East St. Louis, Illinois, and Metropolitan Congregations United in the St. Louis, Missouri, she has put her faith into action, working for justice in the Midwest. She has combined her Gamala organizational training and International Institute for Restorative Practices certification to align multiple age groups around shared air, water, and land.
Well, thank you very much. I have greatly appreciated the whole process, that Education 2.0, the conversations that I've had with folks preparing for this moment. And for the moment to stop, that's what we do in restorative practices. We stop and reflect, and we talk about things so we can see what we want to do next.
The next award is for Brian Barber. Brian Barber for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Brian Barber is the founder of MNS Educational Media, LLC. He is the educator, rapper, and author born in Washington, D.C., and raised in Fort Washington, Maryland. Authentic and charismatic, he draws his experience as a lifelong educator to create engaging learning materials for children. Brian holds a bachelor's degree in elementary education and visual communications, digital media arts from Bowie State University, and a master's in education from Trinity University.
I appreciate y'all. This has been an awesome experience. I so appreciate this. First, I got to thank God, you know what I'm saying, because for just possibilities. My wife, she's sitting right here recording me. I appreciate you so much. My mama, she's at home, you know, but she's here with me, inside of me, all over the place. But Mr. New School. Mr. New School is an animated educational character that your child will love, but right now you're seeing him live in the flesh. I produce educational content for elementary school-age children, and I'm working on my television show, the Mr. New School show. So that's what Mr. New School is. I am a platform for children and everybody in general to learn, take pride in learning, enjoy learning, and I want to make the educational experience fun, engaging, transformative, culturally relevant. It's cool, it's cool, it's Mr. New School. You know what time it is. I love y'all. Peace.
This next award is for Dr. Carolyn Scott for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Dr. Carolyn Scott is the Chief Academic Officer at the American National University. She is a transformative higher education leader with 18 plus years of experience driving student success, faculty development, and institutional excellence. A published researcher and speaker, Dr. Scott champions innovation, accreditation quality, and lifelong learning, guided by her own journey of persistence and the belief that education changes lives.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Education 2.0, first of all. Um, we've heard a lot in the past 2 days, and we'll probably hear more tomorrow about our general commitment to student success. And that's really important, but it's also really easy to turn it from a mission into a metric. So all of us, regardless of level, I mean, I work in higher ed, and I know that there's some that work in elementary and secondary education here. All of us have students who have a lot going on in their lives, and yet they continue to show up. And it's really important for all of us to fulfill that commitment to student success with systems that can support them where they are. So I would just want to say I'm very grateful to be part of this community that supports that student success. And again, thank you. And none of them are here, I don't think, but thank you to all my students.
This next award is for Elena Hurst for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Elena Hurst. This next award is for Felipe Jacob Galinda Suarez for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. As the founder and CEO of Texas Academy, Felipe Jacob Galindo Suarez works directly with instructors, learners, and employers to design and deploy real-world systems for skill development, credential verification, and career readiness. His work focuses on practical applications of blockchain-backed credentials, gamified learning pathways, and AI-assisted talent discovery, tested in live learning environments, not labs.
Thank you so much. Well, really grateful for all this community and the invitation to grow together. Tomorrow, well, the conference will continue, and today, in a few more minutes after lunch, we will have a conversation about inclusion in education. So thank you so much, and we can stay connected after the conference.
The next award is for Gina Ewing Wilson for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Gina Ewing Wilson is the coordinator of C2 Pipeline. She attended Cornerstone College Preparatory High School, where she received academic awards and recognition. She took a job as a high school teacher for students with at-risk behaviors and also worked with third graders. She later earned her master's in educational leadership from Wayne State University and is currently working on her doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies.
Thank you, everyone. It is actually now Dr. Janae Ewing Wilson, as I have successfully defended my dissertation and my work is now going to publishing. So I am a doctor now. But I would like to say thank you to the Education 2.0 conference, not only for this award, but also for the opportunity to collaborate with educators who are also like-minded and want to see growth within our youth. I would like to say thank you to Wayne State University for sending me here and for my students. And then I wanted to give a special shout out to my family members. I want to thank my husband, Kevin, my mother, Alma, and my aunt, Sharon, for coming all the way out here to Las Vegas to support me. I am extremely blessed. Thank you, everyone.
The next award is for Jeanette Daluz for Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. Jeanette Daluz. This next award is for Dr. John Olek for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. John Olek is currently the Director of Faculty Development Engagement at National Louise University. He earned his doctorate degree in business psychology from the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and holds a master's degree in clinical psychology. In addition to his academic endeavors, John is the Executive Director of Integrative Recovery Therapies, specializing in treating substance use disorder in New Orleans.
Thank you. I want to first thank God, my family, and the leadership at National Louis University, Naveen Magahed, Eddie Phillips, and Ryan Bartlemay. Without them, I wouldn't be able to kind of keep reaching faculty, and I appreciate their openness to new ideas as we tackle AI. And while the topic of our sessions are often AI related, at least mine, the content is connection. And so I wanted to thank Conference 2.0 for the opportunity to continue to connect and build community. Thank you.
This next award is for Joy McClure for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Joy McClure currently serves as Chief Admissions Officer for the Tricola University, overseeing admissions and marketing across 15 campuses throughout the Midwest. She is a 30-year higher education leader with a career spanning large universities and innovative trade schools. A graduate of Michigan State University, she built her expertise in marketing and admissions shortly after relocating to Chicago.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Education 2.0 as well. I've been to a lot of conferences in my day, and this is the first one where it's been a really big cross collaboration between higher ed, K through 12, for-profit, trade schools, traditional university, whether it's vendors that help the space, but the commitment is all the same. Everybody's really focused on taking care of our youth and building the next generation of leaders within whether it's Gen Z or beyond. I also want to say a special thank you. My husband is here supporting me today. It's a program that I'm very passionate about. Higher education is really important. I believe it's the great equalizer, no matter where you're coming from. With education, doors open, and that's what we do every single day. We open doors for the youth. So thank you.
This next award is for Juanita Wilson for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Juanita Wilson is the founder, president, and director of Wilson School of Dance. Has over 40 years of teaching, artistry, and leadership. A graduate of Butler's University's Jordan College of Fine Arts, she also studied at distinguished institutions under prominent instructors. She has created over 1,500 works and is a recipient of the Piedmont Excellence in Education Award. Her passion is teaching to help students build inner confidence and emotional stability.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful and honored to be recognized by the Education 2.0 conference. I want to say thank you to my family who has supported me through a lifetime of being passionate about dance, and also to my school, to the parents and students who for almost 50 years have supported me. Dance is something where you have to come into the room with instant memorization, focus, discipline. These things all transfer over into school, academics, and into life skills. I really believe that it is one of the important things that can help all forms of education. We have an expression that we use at the school a lot that's dance, ... the expression of life. I hope to be able to help others to continue to help the children. Thank you so much.
The next award is for Junior Toes International Preschool Education 2.0 Conference Outstanding Organization Award. Junior Toes International Preschool. All right, this next award is for Lisa's Clarinet Shop. For Education 2.0 Conference Outstanding Organization Award, Lisa's Clarinet Shop is a boutique niche business serving amateurs, professionals, students, military personnel, and orchestrational clarinetists across high school, college, and professional levels. It provides access to the highest quality professional instruments through a meticulously hand selection process. On behalf of the organization, Lisa Canning, the founder and CEO, will receive this award.
Thank you so much. Music matters. Toot your own horn. If anybody has a story to share about music making, whether you've started or stopped, please contact me because we need more participation in music. This is about advocacy and growth and a very important part of our emotional development. And you see, it makes me emotional.
This next award is for Dr. Mahina Hammam Gago. Dr. Mahina Hammam Gago. Our next award is for Dr. Mary Jo Parker for Education 2.0 Conference and Excellence in Education Award. Mary Jo Parker is a first-generation Hispanic faculty lecturer in the natural sciences and executive director of the Scholars Academy at the University of Houston downtown. She is currently a principal investigator on several active federal and state grant awards. She brings deep experience in proposal writing and in the implementation of grant awards.
Well, thank you so much to Education 2.0 and to everybody here. We're all in education in some form or fashion. And I do believe it's important to be student-centered. I do think it takes money, thus I write. And I do hope that we look in a soft manner to our federal government to continue with the education department. It's needed. I heard a talk yesterday about changing the system, and it made me think of George W. Bush, who at the time I wasn't really a fan of, but he did something through the education system and brought standards from higher ed through K through 12. And, we really need that again. If we continue to leave it to states, my belief is that there won't be equity for all learners, and that's what we need. But beyond that, thank you so much, and have a great conference, everyone.
The next award is for Matthew Newcomb for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Matthew Newcomb. The next award is for Monica Romero for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Monica Romero is the CEO, founder, and director of Spanish Express and a pioneer in immersive Spanish learning and language tourism. With a professional background in travel and tourism, she is also a qualified linguist, teacher, and examiner and trainer with over 20 years of experience in language education. She is the founder of the Spanish Homestay Immersion Program, SHIP.
Thank you. Receiving this award feels amazing. However, this award belongs to my team for their continuous support and passion in whatever they do, and this is what makes this possible. And also belongs to our students because they continue to inspire us to grow, to improve, and to innovate. So thank you so much to family and friends, partners, colleagues, and Education 2.0 Conference. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
This next award is for Nirmala Krishna Anand for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Nirmala Krishnan And is the CEO and founder of Little Learners Lab and the franchise owner with Wise Commuting Academy. With a strong IT background and a passion for lighting the fire of learning, she brings hands-on robotics, codings, and creative tech education to hundreds of young learners every semester. Her mission is simple: prepare children for a digital future of promoting creativity, problem solving, and confidence.
Thank you, Education 2.0, for this recognition. It truly means a lot. At the same time, it gives me a deep uh, responsibility to shape the young minds to think, to ask questions, and truly believe their potential and coming as confident as they can. That brings a lot of responsibility to me to do this service. I would also like to thank my husband for being a constant support in all my initiatives. Thank you.
The next award is for Patience Shrew Trumpf, Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Patience Shrew Trumpf is the owner and director of Patience Montessori School, Inc. She earned a degree in information systems from the University of Colorado Boulder in 2001. After completing her Montessori training and director certification, she founded Patience Montessori School in Boulder in 2008, dedicated to nurturing global awareness, cultural understanding, and lifelong learning.
I would like to thank Education 2.0 for bringing me here. I also want to let everybody know that being a teacher makes us brave thinkers. We think every day in the classroom. And I also want to thank my team at the back at home for supporting me to be able to stand here before you guys. So being a brave thinker means that we go into the classroom every day and we think of the children and we think of how to bestow onto them how to think bravely and how to move forward to the future. And thank you all for having me here. This is an honor.
The next award is for Lisa Bennett, EDS CDF. Felisa Bennett. Felisa Bennett, EDS CDF, is the Organizational, Cultural, and Curriculum Specialist at LBC Educational Consulting. She is an educator, leader, and advocate with over 20 years of experience in education, nonprofit leadership, and community development. Throughout her career, she has been at the forefront of curriculum innovation, mentorship, and strategic planning, working tirelessly to improve educational systems.
Thank you, Education 2.0, for having me here and giving me this prestigious honor. I'm grateful, I'm humbled, I am blessed. Secondly, I would like to thank my parents for instilling the importance of education in me from a very early age. And lastly, I want to give all the glory, honor, and praise to God for instilling these gifts in me for teaching, for giving me the idea to come up with the curriculum that I've created called Grow Time, which stands for Growth, Resilience, Optimism, and Wealth. And that curriculum was born out of a need for my alternative education students. They really need additional education that goes so far beyond what is traditionally taught in schools. It's not about academics always. It's about preparing students for the real world. I want to thank you again, Education 2.0. I appreciate everyone here.
This next award is for Dr. Ramana Kumar Vinjamari. Dr. Ramana Kumar Vinjari is the Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Dr. Ramana Vinjamuri is an associate professor and center director with tenure in the Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. His research spans sensor motor control, brain-machine interfaces, exoskeletons, human-robot interaction, and neurotechnologies. He received the NIDILRR Switzer Fellowship in 2010, the Harvey N. Davis Teaching Award in 2018, and the NSF Career Award in 2019, among others.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor. I want to thank the conference organizers and the leadership. Thank you so much for this honor. This is for my students. Can we please get a round of applause for them, please? Thank you. This is for my students at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. We call it UMBC, or you've made the best choice, UMBC. So I also thank my colleagues, my leadership at UMBC, who have been strong support for me over the years. Personally, I want to also thank my family, been a big support. This award is also for my dad, who is a retired professor. I think I got something from genetics, so thank you. Thank you again.
This next award is for Rohanda Alexa Webb for Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. Rhonda Alexa Webb is the founder and CEO of Kids Rule Now, Inc., and the creator of the I'm the Boss Now curriculum. She has spent 25 years as a licensed cosmetologist, salon co-owner, and makeup artist before transitioning her passion into purpose. Her recently launched Boss Factor 2.0 is a comprehensive system featuring a student workbook, an AI coach, and 8 lessons that guide youth in starting and sustaining businesses.
Good afternoon. I would definitely like to thank the Education 2.0 Conference for recognizing value in kid entrepreneurship. As the founder and director of Kids Rule Now Incorporated, I'd also love to thank the kids because they taught me a very valuable lesson that entrepreneurship is not so much about the what when it comes to kids. It's about the who. It's not about what they sell, what product or what service they provide. It's about the who they become. And over my 10-year history of working with kid entrepreneurs, I found that they become more resilient, they increase their communication skills, they increase their confidence, they're able to even handle money, finances so much better. So I really want to thank you again for providing me with this awesome award. And lastly, also thanking Renee Johnston of the Saginaw Community Foundation in Saginaw, Michigan, and Terry Duperrin, one of my major sponsors, contributors, and mentors. It's been a great journey, and I look forward to being able to mentor and train more children who are interested in becoming bosses. Thank you.
This award is for Professor Dr. Robert H. Scheitzel for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Professor Dr. Robert H. Schutzel is the president and CEO and CSO of Procta Skincare Inc., Microbiopharma Inc., RapMed Inc., ImmuneRight Inc., and PsychoGood Inc. He is a professor emeritus of pathology, environmental health sciences, and radiation oncology at UCLA. Previously at Harvard, 200 publications, 9 press releases, 1,400 entries in the internet about him. He does clinical trials worldwide.
So I feel almost too good to be true, but true, and every day is better than the last day. So I would, I would like to thank Education 2.0 for this award and for organizing an absolutely wonderful conference in an absolutely wonderful city. I do clinical trials worldwide. So I, I want actually to thank all my patients for the trust they put in me to cure their very nasty diseases and sometimes really terminal diseases, and um, and for their appreciation and everything else too. And so I'm getting this award not because I was teaching at Harvard for 10 years and usually 21 years, but actually because of my healthcare work. I can cure autism and mechanically improve the memory. That's good for the learning of all students, and I can cure all the other special need um, problems and all the everything else too, all 4 stages of cancer, all mental diseases and everything else. It doesn't have any negative side effects and prevents all the disease it cures. So anybody who has any questions about healthcare or want to connect with me or any other questions, I'm happy to connect, and I'm here today and tomorrow. Thank you so much. Oh, I also, so I'm in service for all uh, um, animals and people, and I love all animals and people, and I wish for peace in the world, for love and peace in the world. Thank you.
The next award is for Dr. Rose Chu for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Founder of Elevate Teaching, Dr. Rose Wan Mu Chu is the educator and systems change leader who deeply believes in the power of teaching to shape more equitable, thriving communities. Her life's long span leaderships across schools, higher education, and education policy. She is currently serving a second elected term on the school board of a public school district in Minnesota, USA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm deeply grateful to the Education 2.0 conference for this honor. And I want to give a shout out to my dear colleague, friend, and advisor, Curtis Johnson, who is here with me in the audience. And then to the Elevate Teaching team back in Minnesota. None of us can do this work alone, and I'm very excited and appreciative of the support they give me. And I'm also very grateful to be here among educators who are passionate and innovative. And I'm just it's so wonderful to be learning alongside with you. I'm a third culture kid, born in Hong Kong, grew up in Malaysia. And my parents, I have such a deep sense of gratitude to them because of their sacrifice that got me to the USA to pursue opportunities that they never had. Oh, my goodness. And so years later, I became a senior research scientist at Honeywell. And I remember my mother, who used to pass my business cards to everyone. She was so proud of me, kind of to mail it. And then I decided to change career. That's a whole different story. And I remember the silence, that look, and I feel like she was going to disown me. She did not like that because she was a teacher, not by choice, because she did not have a lot of choices at that time. She was trained in 3 weeks in Macau, and she didn't get a chance to pursue some of her dreams. And yet I always tell her, I got it from you. I love being with students. I love teaching. I love learning. So I still chose teaching despite her disapproval. And I think she would be so proud of me today. Um, bless you, Mom, in heaven. And I would love to just read this quote because in Elevate Teaching Movement, I hope you all will join that, there is a phrase that we put, and I want to make sure I quote this accurately. imagine a future where teaching is a revered profession in the society, where educators from all backgrounds feel the warmth of community support and reflect that support back to their students. Thank you for being part of building that future with me. Thank you.
The next award is for Doctora Sandra Villara Montgomery for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Doctora Sandra Villarreal Montgomery is the CEO of Villamont Educational Consulting LLC. With nearly 30 years of experience in education, she demonstrates a sustained commitment in teaching that began in her early childhood. Her areas of expertise include bilingual education, early childhood development, gifted and talented programs, global problem solving, mathematics, and robotics.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have to thank everybody in this room first because it is educators who shaped who I am today. I have a family of educators. I have been blessed with amazing people around me. And I am very much one that feeds off the energy of others and the insight of others. And I did want to be a boss when I was little, so that helped with the teachers encouraging too. So I want to also thank the Academy. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Thank you, the Academy. I want to thank my mother, who is not in the room with me today, but she was a single mom and still encouraged me to believe in everything I could be. And also my faith. I have what I call bonus years due to some different things. So I'm blessed that I have opportunities to continue to make a change and to be here with all you change makers. So thank you very much.
This next award is for Sean Milligan for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Sean J. Milligan is an adjunct professor at Brandeis University, is an award-winning educator, instructional designer, and professional leader whose work bridges higher education and industry. As a graduate level professor, he is known for creating highly interactive asynchronous courses, recognized for his commitment to elevating student experiences and learning quality. Sean continues to champion education that is rigorous, inclusive, and impactful.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Education 2.0, and thank you to all of you in the room, all of you life changers and heroes. It's an honor and it's humbling to be up here among all of you. I found my passion for education much later in life as a result of a wonderful teacher and mentor. And so I wanted to also thank her. And thank you to Brandeis University for taking a chance on a brand new graduate 11 years ago and allowing me to start this journey. And again, thank you to all of you for all of the wonderful insights and different viewpoints, et cetera, this week. Again, honored to be among all of you life changers and heroes. Thank you.
The next award is for Dr. Sonia S. Gaither for Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. Dr. Sonia Gaither is the Dean of Libraries at Clayton State University, has dedicated the last 30 years to academic librarianship, teaching, and higher education administration. She became an entrepreneur in 2023, starting Dr. Sina's Helping Hands LLC. The vision and mission of her work is to help middle and high school students and adult learners develop their lifelong learning skills by teaching them research and information literacy skills.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for Education 2.0. This is my third year here, and every year I have learned new skills, met new people, collaboration and cooperation, and I appreciate that. I want to thank my family. I want to thank the institutions that I work at, Clayton State University and Gordon State, and my students and all of my coworkers. And I want to thank God for the skills and the talents that He bestowed on me so that I could be able to help those that need to learn more information literacy skills to be lifelong learners. So thank you.
This next award is for Mohem Ismi Oswala Hanmi. Mohed Ismi Oswali Hanmi for Education 2.0 Conference Visionaries Award. He is a senior lecturer with the Department of Polytechnic and Community College Education under Malaysia's Ministry of Higher Education. His work supports AI-ready education while addressing digital security and ethical governance of emerging technologies within Malaysia's TVET ecosystem. He also contributes to international dialogue on artificial intelligence and intellectual property governance.
Hello and everyone. So please allow me to read some text because I got a lot of panel sessions because so I couldn't manage to prepare for the speech. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished guests, esteemed organizers, and fellow awardees, standing here today at the Bellagio is truly humbling. To be recognized among a small group of global leaders for this category. Previously honored under the Outstanding Leadership Award category when I was here in 2024, makes this moment even more meaningful. I accept this Visionaries Award not as a personal milestone, but as a shared achievement from my Ministerial Policy Director General, the Japan Institute for Promoting Innovation and Invention, as one of the reviewers for the Digital Trust and Security Pilot Cohort Professional course at the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom, as an MIT alumnus of the Deep Technology Program in Boston, all of which reflect my mission to advance human-centered, ethical, and secure AI in education. From Malaysia, through our polytechnic and community college system, we are shaping an ecosystem where AI empowers, not replaces human potential. Because the future of education is not just intelligent, it must also be responsible. This recognition strengthens my endless commitment to bridge policy, academia, and industry so innovation remains grounded in values that truly matter. To the organizers, the 2.0 conferences, my colleagues, and my country, Malaysia, thank you for your trust. So let's build a future where technology serves humanity ethically, securely, and with purpose. And that is the future we must lead for years to come. Thank you very much once again.
This next award is for Verna Felder for Education 2.0 Conference Excellence in Education Award. Verna is the founder and CEO of the Urban School Transformation LLC. She is an urban education strategist with over 20 years of experience in the Detroit Service Learning School District. Verna authored the Urban School Toolkit and Did You Bring a Bedbug to School Today? A Detroit Award recipient and speaker, she specializes in culturally responsive leadership and family engagement.
I'm excited. Can you tell I'm excited? Okay, so first of all, thank you to whoever nominated me for this global award. Thank you to Education 2.0. Thank you to the CAO of the Urban School Transformation LLC, Charlene Cutler back there with the camera. And the last thing that I want to say is this. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Do what you love and you'll never have to work another day in your life. So from year 1 to year 25, I have absolutely loved doing what I do. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be recognized for the work that I do, for the work that you do. So thank you for what you do. Thank you 2.0, and thank you.
So, and now I steal you the microphone for a minute. So thanks for your great acting, for your great moderation here. And you know, probably some of you, there's my friend from Switzerland, I'm from Switzerland too. And you know, people from Switzerland most times travel with chocolates. So as a small thank you for all you're doing, enjoy the chocolates.
Thank you. That's so nice of you guys. Thank you. Well, congratulations to all of our well-deserved honorees. Your passion and dedication truly inspire us all. We'll now pause for lunch, so please enjoy a meal, relax for a bit, and use this time to connect with your fellow attendees. And while you eat, network, and visit our exhibit booths, take the opportunity to capture your favorite moments on social media with the hashtag Education2Conf. You can get in touch with Jatine from the 2.0 Conferences team to discover new and exciting experiences waiting for you in Singapore and Dubai. We'll reconvene at 1:30 to enjoy our next sessions. Thank you so much.